ever called Budweiser Light?
I don't think it was, and I'm
I have no copy. This is all straight off the top of my head. Budweiser, Bud Light. It's all right there, and it all goes to Folds of Honor, Alabama. Folds of Honor, Alabama, and there's QR codes everywhere on all the tables and bar tops at those 3 great locations, Highway 280, Stadium Trace, and Trustful, where you can donate on top of buying the great Bud and Bud Light. You can make a donation. All the dollars stay here for Folds of Honor, Alabama.
In 1984, Anheuser-Busch officially changed the name from Budweiser Light to Bud Light.
See, I was around for the OG, the Budweiser Light.
okay.
Give me the Budweiser Light.
So did you ever legally buy Budweiser Light before it was Bud Light?
I've told the story 100 times on our platform. I'll tell it again. I was the year that was grandfathered in from 18 to 19 and then 19 to 21 drinking age. So December of my senior year of high school, I was a legal drinker at the age of 18. And then I was grandfathered in. So the day I set foot on a college campus was a legal drinker.
So
I've always
was
been
that a big deal? I mean, like, you know, I was
always a legal drinker.
I've got a older brother, 3 years older, and so I had his ID, you know, when.
See, I never had to have a fake ID.
Yeah. But so was that a big deal in high school, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would not buy for anyone else because I was so afraid of.
Well, you're a rule follower, right?
Yeah, but they made a lot of arrests because, you know, 18, you're in high school.
And would they take your license at that point then? And
you could face some serious charges. So I just never wanted to. I'd heard horror stories, so I didn't want to, you know, that somebody had bought beer for an underage person who'd been in a car accident or something. So I didn't want any part of that.
So no one ever, hey, mister, to you?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Oh, okay.
You know,
they
and
did. They tried, but you just
girls or
followed through.
Or guys on the football team that would want me to buy something.
I can't believe we used to do that. Sit outside. I got arrested one night for doing this, and it was actually Pink Package, one of our sponsors. We were going to a Robert Palmer concert, believe it or not. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But, you know, guy would walk in and be like, hey, man, I'll buy your beer if you buy my beer. And a lot of times they'd be like, okay.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
The liability on that. Now, when I ever would get caught after the fact, who bought you this beer? You know, I have no idea. I didn't really see the guy clearly.
Yeah.
Hey, did he play Simply Irresistible?
I'm sure he did. And he didn't have the. I think I got baited because I thought he would have those girls up there dancing with him, and did not have those.
Yeah, was it Addicted to Love?
Yeah, I was Addicted to Love.
Yeah, Addicted.
I don't think I could name another one.
Yeah, and did they have water on their hair or was it gel?
I think it was just gelled, slick back. They all looked the exact same though, didn't they?
They did. They looked very cloned.
Yeah, like now you would be like, is that AI?
Yeah, 100%. I would be. That's AI.
Yeah, he's no longer with us. By the way.
Bad Case of Loving You. I know that one.
Yeah, I like that one. Bad Case of Loving You. I'm going to listen to a little Robert Palmer today.
I didn't suggest that.
That's
but
3 good songs right there. Bad Case of Loving You, Addicted to Love, and what was yours, Forrester?
Simply Irresistible.
I don't like that one. Simply Irresistible.
I liked Addicted to Love until Cocktail, when they were, you know, TGI Fridays was the hot place to go on a Friday night in New York City. You remember? And him and Brian Brown would like turn it up and let the crowd sing, and then, you know, they're dancing around, throwing bottles up and shit.
There was dancing and singing going on at a TGI Fridays?
You've never seen Cocktail?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I missed that part.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Cocktail.
Like,
yeah,
I've been in some TGI Fridays back in the day. I've never seen anything like this.
Highway 31 and that road called the Helena Cutoff. I don't know what that is. There used to be a thing there where that Publix is now. It was called Tobacco Shack. And it basically was a little shack kiosk. This is twice the size of what Tobacco Shack was. But it had cold beer and tobacco to sell. And that's where, before I turned 18, we could go in there, and that guy didn't card at all.
But they didn't have like Cohibas. I mean, it was Swisher Sweets, right?
Oh, yeah. It was cigarettes and Swisher Sweets and then cold beer. And that's where I would get.
Skull.
He would never card you there. So we'd drive all the way from Alabaster up there, which seemed like a long way back in the day to get the cold beer and then go back.
Well, you know, they're so over the top on carding now. And, you know, Jack just graduated from high school a month ago, and we were at dinner last night. And so I go up to the bar because we're sitting at a bar table. And I ordered a drink, and I ordered him a lemonade because that's kind of his go-to, a lemonade or a water. Miss anything from the next round when you listen on demand through the podcast platform of your choice, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, or Google Podcast, wherever you listen. Always like, follow, subscribe, turn on automatic download so you can catch every part of the next round. Listen anywhere in the world, anytime on the Next Round podcast feed, and support the show by following, subscribing, and turning on automatic downloads on any podcast platform. Listen anywhere in the world, anytime on the Next Round podcast feed. Thanks for always making the next round a big part of your day.
When you trust a doctor with your life, they owe you proper care. If medical negligence left you or a loved one injured, you deserve answers and compensation. Alexander Shinar trial attorneys have recovered over $2 billion for their clients harmed by medical errors, misdiagnoses, and surgical mistakes. They fight hospitals and insurance companies so you can focus on healing. Don't wait. Medical malpractice cases have strict deadlines in Alabama. Call Alexander Shinar trial attorneys now for a free consultation. 659-777-7777 or alexwins.law. You pay nothing unless they win. Physical office location, Birmingham.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, here we go now. Live show on a Friday and a fun one ahead. This guy brought popcorn in because he and Tyler are going to watch Jaws coming up a little bit later on. And we're going to do 1 hour of content here to get you updated on all the sports stuff you need for the weekend. Then they're going to take you through a little history lesson with the movie Jaws. Part of the reason, Brown's on vacation today, Forster's on vacation today, Brooks is on vacation today, and Tyler is way back there doing 3 jobs at once. Hey, Tyler, how are you, man?
Yeah. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
A little bit of a miscommunication this morning, so I'm pinballing around.
I've never seen a skeleton crew like this.
Well, this is the first time, and this is show number, I think, 1235. This is the first time that full chairs and empty chairs have equaled out. It's even up. Full versus empty chairs are tied 3-on-3 today.
And I don't think empty chairs could ever outdo full chairs because then we got a serious problem. I mean, that would take you. If Tyler was out, you'd be working the board, and we would just be going back and forth. Now, I remember old school radio days, and I'm sure you did some of those shows too. I did plenty of shows, just producer behind the glass, me on the other side, just going back and forth one-on-one. But that was before the visual element, before social media. A lot of stuff goes into this show that people probably don't realize, and to have only one person in the back room is a little hectic on Tyler today.
Yeah, we try to make it look like a sports center or TV show as much as we can. And, you know, that takes a lot of people. That does a lot of editing and pictures and producing behind the scenes to make it work that way every day. So, which includes live switching. You know, some people do the automated switching on voice where if Lance started to talk, it would cut to Lance. And if I started to talk, it would cut to me. And sometimes you get some quick edits that way, as much as we try to, you know, I've always thought the way we interrupt each other over the years, the three of us, that sort of gives you a little bit more energy in the conversation and, you know, brings a little pacing to a show. When you have the automatic edit going on and you have a good conversation going on, it can get some herky-jerky cuts.
Yeah.
So I like having the live punch from Forster every day.
As far as the camera, the automated cameras that are voice-activated, do you remember before we rented this place, one of our buddies was like, I'm going to lease out this studio for $1 a month. Now, there were reasons we didn't do it, but those cameras and mics were voice-activated.
That's right. And as much as I interrupt to try to keep pacing going or maybe to explain something throughout the course of 3 hours, it would have got people seasick, I believe. That's why Forster is a live puncher on our show almost every day. Today, Tyler is doing that and running the audio board. Everybody else is on vacation. They're back with us. At least Brown's back with us on Monday, and Forster will be back with us Tuesday, and Brooks will be back with us next midweek, and then we'll be virtually full strength through the end of football season. All right, a lot going on to get to in sports. We'll start off by telling you that our friend Alexander Shinar Trial Attorneys wants to remind you that he is a local guy who has built this worldwide national firm. Everybody knows about Alexander Shinar, coast to coast. That's because of what he has built right here in Birmingham, Alabama. He's a local guy, a national firm with southern roots. He's got 150 lawyers, but he's still the captain of the ship. Everything runs across Alexander Shinar's desk. to make sure it's up to his standards, 150 lawyers, 500 dedicated team members. And Alexander's mission was to create a firm that can handle any issue that a community face. The firm now handles not only the personal injury claims, but claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, co-worker, workers' comps, and a host of other claims. If you find yourself in need of a lawyer, it's Alexander Shannara Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win the case, Shannara.com. Before we get into some of the bigger college football stories, including our 40 and 40, yesterday the NCAA tournament folks announced the other Tuesday, Wednesday hosting site. And I was led to believe that Las Vegas was going to be that site, Dayton and Las Vegas.
So did you hear that, or you just assumed?
I think
Just
Brown,
good location?
Brown brought it to the show, saying that he had heard Las Vegas, and I did some checking, and that Las Vegas was interested of hosting 6 of those 12 playing games. 6 would stay in Dayton, and 6 were going to be played at another location. It's not Las Vegas. It's the Las Vegas of the flyover states. It's Wichita. We're going to play 6 games in Dayton on Tuesday and Wednesday, and 6 games in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay, so I've spent a lot of time in Wichita.
I knew you had.
Unfortunately, I called it the New York City of the summer of 1995. I absolutely love going there because the only 2 major cities that we toured were Topeka, which sucked, and Wichita, which was a lot of fun because you remember those we talked about 90s country earlier this week. It was the 90 country bar where you would do the boot scoot boogie, whatever, the line dancing.
That's what it was, yeah, boot scoot boogie.
So they would play like 5 country songs, and then they play like 1 or 2 like hip-hop top 40 songs. So it was kind of a mix of all, and it was a place called In Cahoots, Dollar You Call It. It was like the major bar of Wichita, but Wichita, for what that was great, but I cannot imagine this being a destination. Wichita, also known Pizza Hut, the home of Wichita.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Was in the first pizza at Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas. But that's about it. I'm out of Wichita stuff after that. But I did love it for that one summer.
So starting this year, it's 6 games in Dayton on Tuesday and Wednesday, and 6 in Wichita. I assume it'll be 3 and 3 each day on Tuesday and Wednesday in those 2 locations. Dayton has been good. They filled up the stands for the most part for those games. I assume they're expecting folks in Wichita to do that as well. Home court advantage for Kansas and Kansas State. They probably say, God, hope we never have to play in Wichita. I don't know if they would ship them to Dayton to make sure they didn't play in Wichita to have that advantage. But the team, the closest, Albuquerque. That was the closest in the bidding process. That was the second choice. If it hadn't been Wichita, it would have been Albuquerque. I know you're familiar with Albuquerque as well.
So my ex-wife's aunt lives out there, and, Jack and Leighton just went. They had a wedding out there, actually Father's Day weekend, and Jack did, I think I talked about this on the air, the Breaking Bad tour. Albuquerque's okay. A little bit better than Wichita, but not that exciting. I know there's a lot of people that love Albuquerque. I've been there 3-4 times, and I thought it was okay. Yeah. But I think these playing games are just okay. So it makes sense to just have them in an okay city. How did Birmingham not bid for this?
I don't know if they did or not. I didn't see in the process of where I didn't see in the process of who all bid on it, but I know it was Wichita. Albuquerque was second. And it seemed like some other not great destination was third.
And I'm saying this honestly, if we had the games here, do you think you would even go?
See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want empty seats.
Yeah, you wouldn't. But I think this is, whether it's Albuquerque or Wichita. I mean, you're right. Dayton has done a pretty good job of that. And I wonder how much of that is corporate to make sure those seats are filled up and it looks good on TV. But I don't care what market it is. I mean, is there going to be an appetite for people to actually go to these games to see a 19-12 versus an 18-13?
Well, that's why, Dayton has done a good job of putting people in the seats. It always looks like people are there.
But again, I think some of that might be planned.
Yeah. And that's a small arena. They're going to play this one at the Wichita Arena, which is 15,000. Dayton always looks like it holds about 9 or 10.
Yeah, it does look a little bit better.
Yeah, so we'll see what it looks like. Randall in the chat says, I bet Wichita has a lot of bars. LT was telling you a great bar story there. Nick says, who is from Wichita? Yes, they have a lot of bars. Yes. So
yeah, no, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. You got to have some bars to entertain the tourists. So, that's 12 teams. That's 6 games they're going to host there in Wichita. All right, before we jump in to our 40 and 40 today, one other college football story being brought to you by our friends at Hoover Toyota. The drive to the kick of the start of the football season is coming up, and Hoover Toyota can make this school year or football season a lot more fun.
Yeah, if you're in the market, whether it's a car, truck, SUV, new or used, had a friend reach out looking for a truck right now. So, of course, I reach out to Scott Peoples, fine folks. They're at Hoover Toyota. They're conveniently located right there on Highway 150. They've been doing this for more than 2 decades. They're going to roll out their red carpet program. They want to make sure they retain you as a customer for life. It starts when you get the keys to your car and then through the service and parts department. They are absolutely fantastic. I am due for oil change and maintenance next month on that Land Cruiser I got back in October. Absolutely loving it. Got my daughter the RAV in Christmas 2024. We are satisfied customers. Use that on-site finance department headed by Kim. Again, for more information, you can go hang out, see the people right there. Beautiful location, Highway 150, or online to view the inventory, hoovertoyota.com.
Bill Connolly put out his ESPN FPI yesterday to start the season. And some people are upset about this because I'll tell you the rankings first, and then I will tell you why people are upset. The FPI rankings has 12 SEC teams in the top 25, 7 Big Ten teams in the top 25. And the belief is nationally that ESPN, who owns the rights to SEC broadcasting, it props up the SEC. Do you believe there's anything to that?
No, I think that your 19 of your top 25 teams are probably from these 2 leagues. And I think, eventually, I don't want to say inevitably, but we probably do get to a super league because I'm not going to be surprised if we get to a point in the season where 16 or 17 of these teams are in the, if you're just going pure power rankings, that makes sense. Now, will you ever see it because of, the cannibalization inside of the conferences? Probably not, because when a team wins, the other team's going to lose. But, I don't know if you and I are just listing really the best teams, not where we think they're going to finish with the 8 and 4s and the 9 and 3s. I've got no problem with this. This is probably correct. Would you not agree?
I would agree. And to your point, when I get down to the bottom of this, there's no way these teams will likely be in the top 25. You just can't have 12 SEC teams in the top 25 at the end of the year because of 9 conference games. But when you go strength of schedule, which is what this is, a power ranking, it is possible that a 7-5, 6-6 SEC team could be one of the 25 best teams in the country.
Yeah,
That's possible, right?
On the fly, I just did 9 teams in the Big Ten that I think could be top 25. And I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for sure. How many did I say?
You said 9 Big Ten.
So I got 17 of the 25 right there.
Yeah, but they've got 7 Big Ten and 12 SEC.
Okay. Well, so that, they're factoring in probably, I'm guessing, the Floridas and Auburns with new head coaches.
Yeah, here we go. Ohio State number 1, Texas 2, Notre Dame 3, Oregon 4, Georgia 5. That doesn't shock anybody.
Nope.
Yep. You may have them in different orders. That's a lot of people's top 5. Indiana 6. Still no problem. Anybody has there. Miami is 7.
No problem.
Yeah, that's only 2 SEC in the top 7.
So 1 ACC and 1 independent so far.
That's right. Alabama 8, LSU 9, Texas Tech 10. You can make a case for all of that.
Sure.
A&M 11, Oklahoma 12.
Okay.
No problem with that. USC 13, Ole Miss 14, Michigan 15. Top 15.
Sounds good.
Arguably the 15 best teams in the country, in my opinion. It's the next 10 that gets interesting. Number 16, according to Bill Connolly's computer, Tennessee.
I think, look, if we're just going on paper, I don't think there's any doubt Tennessee's a top 25 team talent-wise. Now, whether or not they get there, we shall see. It comes
down to quarterback, right?
Comes down to quarterback, and if they aren't there, and I've got Josh Heupel coming up in 4 downs, Heupel's going to be on a serious hot seat. I think the expectation is let's get back to a college football playoff, but bottom falls out if you're not in the top 25.
17 for Penn State. No problem with that.
No, Penn State, and if Matt Campbell's not in the top 25 with that schedule, that's a problem.
18, Florida.
again, like you could see a path for Florida to win up to 10 games and, be one of the bigger surprises this year. I mean, John Summerall's going to eventually get them there. I don't know if they're a top 25 team this year, but I don't have a problem with that.
Clemson 19, BYU 20. No, I mean, no problems with that. Missouri 21. I mean, that's fair.
I mean, Missouri last year, 8-5. That puts you in the top 25 in the SEC, 4-4 in conference.
Auburn 22. Now you're expecting the USF guys, but there are times when just USF that you would have said, USF is probably 22 to 25 in the AP poll.
Yeah, I thought there was a moment early last year that USF was probably going to be the Group 5 rep.
South Carolina 23.
It depends on what Lenora Sellers and Shane Beamer we get. They were 1-7 in conference last year. I think they've got the talent to be able to do it. Whether or not they do, I wouldn't have them in the top 25, but I've seen people have them close. I think Phil Still yesterday, we talked about it, close to the top 15.
SMU 24, Iowa 25. I mean, that's not outrageous. There's a couple of teams that, Florida to be 18, Auburn to be 22, South Carolina to be 23. But here's where the Big Ten people get really upset. And I focus on them because they're the ones that have won the last 3 national championships. All 16 SEC teams rank in the top 20 of strength of schedule.
I mean, last year at the end of the year, you had 7 teams that were ranked. You went through that list there. I think you can make an argument for all of those teams being top 25 teams. And when you play top 25 teams week in or week out, how is the schedule not that difficult?
All 16 are top 20 strength of schedule. The Big Ten, Ohio State is the 8th toughest schedule according to Bill Connolly.
Most difficult Ohio State schedule we've ever seen.
But the strength of schedule in the Big Ten goes anywhere from 8th to 62. The Big 12 goes, their toughest schedule is 30th, goes through 71. The ACC's toughest schedule is 22, and it goes through 66. So when Greg Sankey talks about we've got to factor in strength of scheduling more if we're going to expand the playoffs and do this or that, this is what he's talking about.
You would have to cherry pick an SEC schedule to make it outside of a top 25 schedule. Like if I was to grab one and you had Arkansas, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Auburn, Kentucky, I'll throw Florida in there. It gets tough after that. Vanderbilt, maybe. I mean, like you can't get away from like playing top 10 teams. Even if you were to schedule the worst through 9, you're going to get one of those teams.
That's right. And back to the rankings, he ranks them all. But the Big Ten has 7 teams in their conference that's ranked 60 to 71 in the overall ranking when everything the computer spits out, like, Ohio State's number 1. But 7 teams in that league ranked 60 to 71. There's not one outside of the top 50 in the SEC.
Real quick, if I was to give you this 9-game schedule, I mean, what do you think half of the SEC does with it? Purdue, Maryland, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Rutgers, UCLA, Northwestern, Minnesota, and let's go Nebraska, the difficult game.
Yeah, that would be the toughest game. I don't want to sound like Steve Sarkisian, but a lot of SEC teams could play their 2s and 3s and be unbeaten.
Yeah, and I think most of those teams would be 8-1 in that scenario.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that shows you where the bottom half of the Big Ten is compared to where the bottom half of the SEC is.
So we're on the same page there. You can see that at ESPN.com. We get to our 40 and 40 countdown in just a second after LT tells you about our wonderful friends at Hemp Hill Services. They also bring you Lance's Lock, lanceslock.com.
So I did have Morocco. I'm telling you guys from the jump that France is just exceptional. They're on another level. They missed so many opportunities in that first half. I did think Morocco, I had them plus 1 goal. They had opportunities in the second half.
Did you turn it off when it was 2-0, though?
No, I kept going.
Because Mbappe's ankle.
Oh, yeah.
That's a concern.
It is a concern because I think he's like, and he missed some opportunities in the first half yesterday, but he has bailed them out of a lot of situations. Like they've got a lot of firepower, but they rely a lot on that kid. And I personally, again, I know nothing about soccer, but watching the entirety of this tournament, he to me is the best player, not the most efficient. The most efficient is Haaland, Erling Haaland for Norway, because he just doesn't have to have a lot of touches. But what Mbappe does for that France team, is pretty incredible. And if he doesn't play, especially against a defensive team like Spain, if they are to beat Belgium today, that's a problem. But I did have Morocco plus the goal yesterday. Had a couple of opportunities late. They couldn't get there. And France by far the best team. We've got another match today, Belgium and Spain. That is up and available. Also more Major League Baseball. Jump on and win with us. We've been killing it. Lance'sLock.com, where you get free play every single day. It is always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, cooling, any of those issues, home or business, they are ready to serve you. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. Hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Spain and Belgium, 2 o'clock today on Fox. Norway, England, 4 o'clock on Fox tomorrow. Argentina, Switzerland, 8 o'clock on Fox tomorrow. And that'll wrap up the semifinals next Tuesday, the quarterfinals. Next Tuesday starts the semifinals, so no soccer on Sunday and Monday. By the way, Christian Pulisic actually has a microfracture in his leg to go with the bone bruise. So a small fracture in his leg, he would have been ruled out if the Americans had advanced and would not have played today.
Okay. Now, is this HIPAA is a thing? You don't have to release this information. Is it? Do you think it's legitimate? Does anybody lie about the other way to make things sound better?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, yes.
Yeah, and look, and yeah, I hate this for him if he really does have the microfracture. Just on that one injury, and maybe it was more serious going into that match. It just seems like this is a little embellished, but
He's had trouble staying healthy. He just keeps re-aggravating the same old injuries.
That's right. And he'll
Keeps
be
getting
31 by the time we get to another World Cup. So his he may be on the team, but his time of being the alpha, so to speak, for the Americans probably has passed at this point. We'll see. Back to football we go.
Yeah.
Our 40 and 4. Go ahead.
No, I was just, I mean, like, I everybody's been piling on, but, Terry Fox did run a marathon with one leg.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. 40 and 40 every day, brought to you by our friends at Hoover Toyota again, if you will, and we'll get to our number 36 team today.
Yeah, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, SUV, go see our friends at Hoover Toyota. They got the best inventory, on-site finance department located right there, Highway 150. For more information, hoovertoyota.com.
Our team is number 36 today. It's been Ohio State. It has been NC State. It's been Virginia and Duke. And now the first SEC team pops in at number 36. It's the Vanderbilt Commodores who come rolling in. Connor Rhodes, one of our voters, had them as high as number 17. And when you talk about this Vanderbilt team, you got to start with the quarterback who isn't there and the quarterback now who takes over.
Yeah, I mean, not only Diego Pavia, and this is ADP after Diego Pavia, what he was able to do for this team. I mean, you think about they're coming off first double-digit season in 122 years. Clark Lee goes from 2 wins to 5 wins, back to 2 wins to 7 wins to 10 wins. 17 wins in 2 years at Vanderbilt is crazy. But I start to look at the schedule, not only Pavia gone, Stowers as good as he was, one of the more athletic tight ends that a lot of that offense ran through him. And Jared Curtis comes on, the freshman quarterback. Now he's going to have Cedric Alexander. Alabama fans will remember he chipped one off a long run against them. He was a guy that averaged over 5 yards a carry, 11 touchdowns. So that'll be a weapon for Jared Curtis. But I start to look at the schedule done away. And I don't think people sleep on Vanderbilt after 17 wins the last couple of years. When they roll in, you're like, okay, we really have to play 60 minutes of football or they could beat us. But they've got a really difficult game against NC State. Then they got to go to Auburn, to Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, at Florida, Tennessee. I mean, they might be favored in 6 games. I know we shit on them last year and we were like, the bottom's going to fall out after 7 wins, and they go 10 wins. If they get bowl eligible, I think it is a great job from Clark Lee, and I really don't understand why we've got them this high.
Yeah, no, I bowl eligible is a great season. 36. I understand. I mean, what Connor did at 17. I can't wrap my head around
because that would be 9-3 basically. I mean, they ended up 15th last year and they won 10 games.
Yeah, technically it could be 8-4 depending on how it all shakes out. But that's a long way to go. 6-6 would be still keeping the train rolling at Vanderbilt for me. But the last 2 years, it looked like Clark Lee had a culture that he had developed there. They weren't just good at quarterback. They did a lot of good things. Now, without that quarterback and that swagger, does that does that culture carry over? That'll be what's interesting to see.
Yeah, and I know there was a lot of people that said that Clark Lee had opportunities to leave Vanderbilt, and I'm not doubting that. But I think if he was to go 8-4 this year with that schedule, with a true freshman quarterback, I don't think he could turn down the money he probably would get offered by teams.
We always go back to South Carolina because their coach is the hottest seat in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think he would leave Vanderbilt for South Carolina.
Okay.
I mean, do you?
No,
I mean, just because this is all modern.
I was just throwing it out there. Okay, what's a Big Ten job that could open up?
Well, I'll tell you this. How about this? And I don't think they would go defensive to defensive, but you guys have the worst case scenario for Oklahoma, having one of these 5-6 win seasons and Venables possibly getting fired. If Oklahoma opened up, I think that would be a possibility.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, the Big Ten jobs?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get out of the SEC, because he came from Notre Dame as a coordinator, if you wanted to get out of the SEC so you didn't have to play Vanderbilt and sort of stick it back to them at another SEC school, is there a Big Ten job that is interesting that could open up? I think Michigan is a placeholder in Whittingham. Nobody else believes that, I think.
Oh, he would definitely. He would take Michigan.
Well, I mean, would Michigan look at him?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big job. It's not a big name. I mean, Michigan to hire the Vanderbilt coach would be a little weird. And I think maybe they're too pretentious for that. Iowa, I don't think he would leave Vanderbilt for Iowa. Does that sound crazy? I don't think he would, though.
I don't think he would either.
If Kirk finally decides to shut it down, the longest tenured coach out there.
And there's not another job that's going to open up, right?
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if the NIL is really dialed in, I mean, you got Jared Curtis right there. You had to pay him a ton of money, and I hear that they've started to get the resources, and you talked about it, and I agree. He has built a culture over the last couple of years, winning the 17 games.
Facilities are better, and the city, if you're 18 to 23 years old, the city's a great place to live.
I would think it's one of the easier, or could you make an argument, the easiest city to recruit to? I mean, it's nothing but bachelorette parties.
That's right.
You take a kid for lunch and you sit outside at a table and you watch the bicycle tours, the bicycle bars roll by nonstop.
But, of course, on any college campus, it's not people getting married on a bachelorette. I mean, it's 18 to 23-year-olds who basically are going to Nashville every night when they're going to the Strip in Tuscaloosa or to Toomer's Corner, to the Sky Bar down in Auburn.
But I still think,
as adults, we look at all the women and stuff that's in Nashville. Well, basically, that's a college campus every weekend.
But Nashville,
every night, not even every weekend.
Look, and I know there's a lot of debaucherous behavior that goes on these college campuses. I've been there back in the day. But Nashville really has become the East Coast version of Las Vegas. So I think when people, the inhibitions that get, the hair that gets let down in Nashville, it's just another level.
Yeah. That's Vanderbilt. They're in at number 36. We'll continue our countdown. On Monday, we do one team every show all the way up to kickoff. We've done it for years and years at different points of the summer, and it's brought to you always by our friends at HooverToyota.com.
Did you realize, though, that Clark Lee in his first 4 years, you know how many total SEC wins he had in 4 years?
In his first 4 years?
Yeah.
He had, I'm going to guess, 2.
He had 5.
Wow, that's pretty good at Vandy.
But last year he had 6. He had 6 SEC wins last year. He had more wins last year than he had in his first 4 years.
Well, I mean, think about what Levy's first 4 years is going to be at Mississippi State.
Not good.
It's going to be closer to 5, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Than the 6 in one season.
But, man, are we going to get to a point, and I know it seems like I always shit on Mississippi State, but, if this NIL is dialed in with that town, is there a chance that Vanderbilt becomes a better job than Mississippi State?
Oh, I would think some people would say it is right now.
Well, he wouldn't leave. He wouldn't go to Starkville.
Yeah, I would say some people would say that right now, and you would never have said that back in the day in earlier SEC football. When we come back, LT's got 4 downs with a little more SEC football twist to that. A couple of crazy moves in college basketball yesterday that helped out 2 brand name programs. And the Braves are looking at a pitching help to help them in the second half of the season coming up. All that in the next half hour of the show that's being brought to you today by our friends at Central State Bank. If you're looking for the bank that's on your team, that is Central State Bank, your hometown bank, serving Shelby County and Tallapoosa County. Whether you're chasing dreams or building your business, they've got the tools, the team, and the personal touch to help you win. Over 100 years of trusted service, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you, rooted in community, driven by relationship. It's Central State Bank, member FDIC. The next round continues after this quick timeout.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live.
The insurance company called. They offered you a settlement. Sounds good, right? Wrong. They're counting on you not knowing what your case is really worth. They're betting you take pennies on the dollar because you're scared and overwhelmed. Don't fall for it. Alexander Shinar Trial Attorneys has recovered over $2 billion for going to war with insurance companies that try this every single day. Call 659-777-7777 or alexwins.law. Free consultation. You pay nothing unless they win.
Physical office location, Birmingham.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
At Central State Bank, we are large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. Manage your money with ease, whether it's mobile banking, hassle-free checking, competitive loans, business solutions, or personalized financial advice. We're your hometown bank with big-time service. Visit us today and experience banking made simple, because at Central State Bank, you come first.
Member FDIC.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090. Hey, for all of your IT and printing needs, reach out to our friends at Xerox Business Solutions. Look, I'm still one of those old school guys. I print my notes every single day for the show. If you watch the show here on the Next Round, you see all the notes in front of me. From day one, Xerox Business Solutions, they've been with us here at the Next Round. Local for over 45 years. For all of your IT and printing needs, visit XeroxBusinessSolutions.com or call 205-969-3000. That's 205-969-3000.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from the Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing. Hey, before we get to 4 downs, Alexander Shinar, a trial attorney, brings us basketball recruiting news today. UCLA has picked up a Serbian wing player, 6'8", Nicolo Kusturica.
31 years old.
No, he's 17. He just dominated Serbia, beating Team USA over the weekend in the Under-17 World Championships. He's coming to UCLA, will play there this year. Because of his age, will play at UCLA for 2 years for $12 million.
Wow.
And right now, he's projected as the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft for the 2028 NBA draft.
Well, I do think Mick Cronin needed the shot in the arm. He's not going to be able to bitch about travel with this guy, right?
No.
And this guy came from Serbia. Now, Tyler's telling us to look on the screen, but the screen is a black hole.
Yeah, the screen's not working right now.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's him. So he's a youngster.
How tall is he?
He is 6'8".
Okay. He looks like one of those that he has not filled out yet. And I'm not talking about like mass. I'm just talking about height. I think he could grow more.
6'8", can handle, plays the 1, the 2, or the 3, and is projected to be a future number 1 overall pick. And he's going to UCLA for 2 years, $6 million a year, $12 million.
Big number. I'm a little surprised. I mean, from what we've heard, as far as where they are financially, that athletic department, that they could afford that. But I guess if you find, I guess they exist. I mean, there still are huge UCLA boosters.
Yeah, and to get maybe the best player, in some cases, for his age in the world, and then the number 1 recruit for 2027. Committed last night and reclassified, so he'll play for Texas this year. Marcus Spears Jr., who is 6'10". Yes, he's the son of Marcus Spears. You know him from football fame. But Marcus Spears Jr. committed to Texas, reclassified, so he'll play on a stacked Texas team this year. He's 6'10", can move and handle. He plays the 3 or the 4, and he's expected to not even crack the starting lineup. And he's expected to be a future lottery pick after he plays at Texas. I got no dollar figure on his selection, but he was the number 1 pick for the 2027 recruiting class. So he picked Texas and reclassified last night.
Yeah, and with that size, and I had heard Spears' kid was really, really good, but at 6'10", the ability to handle and to play the 3, I mean, that's almost Durant-like. I mean, Durant, is full 7 feet. But,
that was the comparison, is that he's Kevin Durant in a new version of Durant in the Texas uniform. But what Sean Miller has done from last year to this year in bringing in talent, wait till you see that Texas team. Legitimately could be the best team in the SEC.
I would not be surprised at all.
And, I've been saying that counting Florida.
I'm a Sean Miller fan as far as his coaching ability. And you go back to Arizona, and it was so strange because he could never get over that hump and get to a Final Four. But their roster year in, year out was right there with Kansas and Duke and North Carolina. And now he's going to bring that to Texas, and something that really has never – Chris Beard would have done it, but Sean Miller is going to do it.
Mark this down on a piece of paper, Tyler. Mark this down on a piece of paper. 9:36 on this day. Would not be shocked if we've got 3 SEC teams in the Final Four next April, I guess.
Okay, we've seen it with the Big East. We've seen it with the ACC.
That's how good the SEC is.
Have we ever seen it with the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I know we had 2 just a few years ago when Florida and Auburn were there.
And again, I know we've had 3 with Big East and ACC.
Yep.
It wouldn't shock me.
I could, honest to goodness, see Florida, Texas, and then the battle
Arkansas.
for the third one. Arkansas is in there. I think Bama's in there. When you've got a future NBA guy, Narcisse at Auburn, they think they can make a run. Kentucky thinks they're reloaded pretty good. Georgia's going to be good. I mean, it's a good league, man. Missouri's going to be good. It's a good league.
I mean, if Florida is anything but Final Four, that's a borderline disaster. I mean, not that it matters for Todd Golden because, just won a national championship 2 years ago, but that roster, wow.
Yeah. Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. The mission was to create a firm that can handle everything for Alexander Shunnarah. The firm handles not only personal injury claims, but claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, workers' comp, and a host of other claims. If you find yourself in need of a lawyer, there's only one call to make. It's Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win the case. Shunnarah.com right there. One more note before we get to our 4 downs today. The Braves need pitching help. Sonny Gray, now with the Red Sox, on the radar according to reports for the Braves. He's 36. He's having a good year in Boston, and the best part about this is St. Louis is still paying a big chunk of his $35 million salary. I think they're paying $20 million of it, and there's another year option on his contract if the Braves did pick him up, that they'd have a team option to keep him as a 37-year-old next year. So that's,
Well, I mean, you love getting...
It's not Scooble, but it's Sonny Gray.
But you love getting a veteran arm like that, and you look at Sonny Gray in the season he's having right now for the Red Sox, 10-1, a sub-3 ERA right now, and you just look at, his career and, the success that Sonny Gray has had. I think that'd be a huge pickup.
Yeah, I think so too. It'd be good to get Skubal, though, if you're a Braves fan.
Skubal, I mean, just last year, outside of Skeens, best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, had a little injury this year, I know, because he's on my fantasy team, but he's back dealing now, so we'll see if Skubal gets moved by the Tigers. All right, to our four downs today, brought to you by Central Alabama Asphalt and Construction. At Central Alabama Asphalt and Construction, they do a lot of big jobs for the state of Alabama, but they have a dedicated division focused entirely on private driveways and smaller asphalt projects for you. It's the same crews, same quality, same standards, but it's a job that fits your property, whether it's a farm, whether it's a lake house, whether it's you want a parking pad at your house in Mountain Brook or in Homewood or in Alabaster. They'll do it for you. 205-349-0910. 205-349-0910. CentralAlabamaAsphalt.com. They bring you four downs, and we start with first down.
First down.
More wins this year. Jared Curtis at Vanderbilt, the true freshman quarterback, or the rookie for the Vegas Raiders, Fernando Mendoza?
Oh, who's battling Mendoza for the starting job?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I do think Cousins, I don't know what Clint Kubiak's going to do here. First year as a head coach, I think you probably ease Mendoza in unless he is right there with Cousins, which I don't think he is going to be yet.
Yeah.
And I think Cousins did get kind of a bad rap. Like, I don't think Cousins is by anywhere close to an elite quarterback, but he's better than he played in Atlanta.
I'm going to say Jared Curtis wins this 5-3. I think the Raiders will win enough games to where Kirk Cousins stays in the starting lineup because they're in that fringe wild card pursuit. I don't think they get there, and eventually Mendoza takes over at the end of the year and gets some starts under his belt and wins some games. I think Jared Curtis and Vandy ends up 5-7, so I'll go Curtis with 5 wins, Mendoza with 3 or 4.
I think I probably would lean Curtis here, as difficult as that schedule is, because we're talking about a Raiders team that was 3 wins. They were awful last year. They're going to be much better, or should be much better, even if the wins don't really show it. It's such a difficult division when you look at the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos. So, yeah, I'm with you. I will lean Vanderbilt in that situation and Jared Curtis.
Second down.
What happens first? Vanderbilt gets to a Final Four in basketball, or they get to a college football playoff?
Oh, I forgot to even mention Vanderbilt basketball.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be really good. They got the guard back this year.
Yeah, Byington's done a really good job there.
I would say Vanderbilt basketball gets in there to the Final Four before they get to a college football playoff.
I mean, they were really close last year to a college football playoff.
Obviously, if we'd gone to 24, they'd have easily been in.
And that's the thing, and that's what I'm kind of looking at. Like at 12, I don't think they're ever there. At 24, they probably are never there, but they would have been last year. What is Vanderbilt? One Elite 8 in basketball, I think.
There was a period in time where they were a Sweet 16 Elite 8 team for about 3 or 4 years.
Kevin Stallings, had a pretty good program there for a minute.
But for some reason, I'm going to go Vanderbilt basketball.
Yeah, me too. I think I would go Vanderbilt basketball as well.
One moment, one shining moment, if you will.
Third down.
Now, this one's interesting. Current job longer, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt or Josh Heupel at Tennessee?
I don't think Clark Lee will get fired anywhere in the near future, but the question now becomes, does Clark Lee leave because of his success, which I think is on the table?
Yeah, as far as getting fired, do you think the 10 wins, the first double-digit win again in 122 years of Vanderbilt football, that probably buys him 3 years. Wouldn't you agree?
Easily. Josh Heupel, I think we piled on him too much last year because he lost his quarterback and had some issues with a couple of the stars on his team.
But if he was to go 3 more years without a college football playoff, that would be 5. There's no chance.
Well, we've played 2 12-team college football playoffs, and they were in the first one, and they weren't in the last one. So how good are they this year with a revamped 5-star quarterback? I'm going to say Josh Heupel is there longer. I think Clark leaves because of success. Am I crazy?
No, I mean, it's going to take a special job, though. I can't believe I'm saying that. And again, that special job's got to be able to have the appetite to take on the Vanderbilt coach.
Okay.
But I don't know. I like Heupel.
Florida State. That job is going to open. Do you leave Vandy for Florida State?
I think you do. Of course, the unknown.
Yeah.
Clark Lee, I don't know who represents him. Is it our friends?
Yeah, I don't know, but you're going to ask yourself, does Florida State have better NIL than I have at Vandy?
Well, and I'm also going to ask, the stability with finances right now at Florida State, like in the ACC. Like Vanderbilt's not going anywhere. They're going to be in the SEC, whether we get to this, super conference or not. Florida State, they'll find a home, but is it going to be as good as the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, Clark Lee, that's his school. But Heupel was hired by Danny White, his AD at UCF, and he hasn't done a horrible job. I wish they'd have beat, who they lose to in the bowl game? Illinois?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I wish they'd have beat Illinois in the bowl game, but other than that, they did about what I expected them to do last year when you lose your quarterback.
Well, I mean, Heupel's done the best job at Tennessee since Philip Fulmer.
100%.
So, I think he's doing a really good job, but the problem is, because he was in a college football playoff just last year, and going back to his second year, that was probably the best Tennessee team he had with Hendon Hooker, and they were almost in a 14 playoff.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep Heupel. Nick says he's there 3 years max, though.
3 more years for Heupel?
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't get to a college football playoff, Nick's right.
Yeah, I would agree.
4th down.
Okay, this is in kind of the vein of first down, but just more wins. Vanderbilt this year are the Tennessee Titans right across the state.
Let's see. You got a defensive
I say
coach.
across the state, they're in the same city, but
yeah, across the street.
Yeah.
What you meant.
Tennessee 3-14 as well last year, just like the Raiders. But Cam Ward, year 2. Robert Saleh taking this organization over, which I think they're going to be in a better spot.
Yeah.
And that's one of those divisions, unlike the AFC West, where last year it was the Jags. I felt like the Texans were the best team in that division. But at one time back in October, I thought Indianapolis was the best team. There's just so much fluctuation when it comes to the AFC South. So, I don't think it would be shocking if Tennessee won 8 or 9 games.
That's right. So for that reason, I'll go the Titans. Because, again, I put Vandy's number at 5. The Titans should be able to get to at least the 5 number, 6 number, and I think 6 would beat them. Some great points here from the chat room, especially from Troy 89. Tennessee hasn't been the same since Alex Golesh left. Remember, Golesh was the offensive coordinator. That's fair. I mean, they did make the playoffs the year after.
But you got to remember this. This was Heupel's offense. Like, Golesh was under Heupel's offense, and Golesh did have his fingerprints on that, but it was still Heupel's offense.
Yeah. That's a good point, though, by Troy 89. That's our 4 downs today, brought to you by CentralAlabamaAsphalt.com. You can go and check them out there. Also today, brought to you by our wonderful friends at Michelson Laser Vision. Don't forget, coming up, we'll have a special viewing of Jaws in the final 2 hours of the show. Lance and Tyler will take you home today. Tell us about Michelson, how they can help you see clearly any time of day.
Yeah, 205-969-8100, that number I called way back in 2003. I wore the contacts for about a decade. I had the 2200 vision. I was legally blind without the aid of the contacts. After the procedure, which only took 12 minutes for both eyes, 20/15 vision better than 20/20. If you wear contacts, you're in the pool, you're at the lake, the beach, you open those eyes, contacts float straight out. They're a pain in the ass. You're wasting money each and every year on the contacts and solution. Make the phone call that I made. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. Again, ask for Amy. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com.
Daniel says if the alumni at Vandy wanted to, they could buy a national championship for Clark Lee at Vandy.
Sure could. Just don't think that you've got that passion like you have with some of the other fan bases.
Goose says the shine is wearing off Heupel there in Knoxville, Tennessee. And pretty interesting point right here. Everyone double-checking us. 2 conferences, Randall and others, 2 conferences that put 3 teams in the Final Four, the Big East and the ACC.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody else has been able to do that. All right, that gets us to our Innisfree countdown to kickoff today. 51 days away. Your game day tradition is Innisfree Irish Pub in Tuscaloosa and Lakeview. Irish-inspired pub food, the signature Irish gold sauce, and always a world-class atmosphere. It's our friends at Innisfree. 51 days to the start of the college football season. And listen, you have daily fantasy when it comes to college football, but Yahoo Sports this year is doing traditional fantasy football for college football where you draft and you have your team all year.
You know, we did that here, remember, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And everybody was so pissed because it took forever to do the draft.
They are keeping it the way we should have at 68 teams, the Power Four and Notre Dame. Those are the only players that are eligible.
Okay.
So basically it's double the pool of players that you get in an NFL fantasy. Another unique twist to it is that just like a defense, you also draft an offense where you get points for the number of points that offense scores on that given Saturday. So you would get, say, if you had Ohio State and they scored 36, you would get 36 points for that offense being scored. So you'd have, much like you have a total defensive points.
So, like, you could find a hidden gem like Oklahoma State, you know.
Yeah, if they're going to score a lot of points. Yeah, to go with the quarterback. You have your normal positions, quarterback, running backs, wide receivers. And they made a point that
I might be all in on this.
They made a point that much like the NFL, the parity at quarterback, you don't really need to go get quarterback early in the draft. They think the position to get early in the draft sort of is like when I started playing fantasy football. The position that you'd want to get early in the draft is running back.
Oh.
Like it's receiver now in the NFL, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's been a while since I played traditional fantasy football.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Let me take that back. Like Jamar Gibbs probably or Bijan will be 1 or 2 just because of their production is crazy and their ability to score touchdowns. But I think after that, it's probably a big receiver run. But again, I'm not a big fantasy guy, so I don't know.
Yeah, me either. I do the daily fantasy, and
I love doing the Saturday daily, don't you?
I do. And LT usually hits you over the head with somebody from Western Kentucky or San Jose State or somebody like that I don't think of. I usually just think of the Power Four or Notre Dame, like Yahoo is going to be doing with this traditional fantasy. I just thought that was interesting, and I wonder, are the players getting a cut of that? Because that's why I always thought you didn't do the
because that is truly your likeness when they're using your name and your stats.
That's right. But I guess they've been doing that for the daily fantasy too, and I don't guess they've been getting any money for that either.
I mean, I know the Players Association, they get some kind of grab there.
They do in the NFL.
Yeah, but again, you don't have an association here, so I don't know how that works.
One more thing to get to before we turn this over to the Jaws viewing party. Brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. We got one running hot in the NFL, one running cold, and that's what Hemp Hill does. Make sure your house continues to run hot or cold.
Yeah, whether you experience any of these plumbing, heating, cooling issues, home or business, they are ready to serve you. Again, hard to stop a train. I've made this call way too many times, but the great thing is when I make the call and Andrew answers, they're always there for me. This is the name Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for any and all of these issues around your home or business. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
All right, so Brandon Ayuk, listen, he's a guy that I don't know how good he is anymore.
He's a weirdo. Look, he was great at Arizona State. I thought there were moments, and we've seen it with San Francisco, but he carries a lot of baggage and very, very vocal and not the right ways. I don't know if he is worth the squeeze.
He has gotten into a fight with Jaden Daniels, who was his quarterback a little bit at Arizona State.
Yep.
To where it doesn't look like he'll end up being a commander. And now, because he hasn't shown up for anything with the 49ers, they have put him on a reserve left the squad list, which means now he's got to apply with the NFL to be reinstated into the league. And he says he's not going to apply for reinstatement. So he could be done in the NFL. He could be shutting it down and be done in the NFL.
Terrible attitude to take here. I think what you will see is, again, he is a talented guy, and I think he could be a really, really good 3 and a pretty good 2 in this league. I don't think you'll see good organizations take a shot on him. I think he'll do a 180 here. I think he'll ask for reinstatement. look, you've only got so many earning years in the NFL, and he still is a talented guy. And there was a market for Ayuk when they knew kind of the days in San Francisco were over. San Francisco way overpaid for him last year or 2 years ago. But I think there's still a market for him, but this doesn't help his cause.
Yeah, so he's got to apply for reinstatement. Right now, he seems to be too proud to do that. On the good side of the NFL, finally getting his number retired in Washington, number 44, John Riggins.
Wow.
And if you're a certain age, you know who John Riggins is, but if you're not, you probably never heard of John Riggins. But he was one of the great running backs in the Washington franchise. What was that, in the 80s, the Joe Gibbs team?
Yep, the old the Hogs.
He was the guy that ran behind the Hogs.
RFK Stadium, and he
was a stud.
He smoked weed on the White House. Did he smoke it under the table and then on the roof? I think those are true stories.
I know he did it on the roof.
Yeah.
That's the story I'd heard. I don't know under the table. Seems like people would smell that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I think it was way taboo back in the 80s. He was a heck of a player, though.
Number 44 will get his jersey and number retired with Washington this year. I think it'll be November 8th is the date.
Surprised it took this long.
Well, and I got the story why. Do you know why? Because when they were going to do it, Daniel Snyder was the owner, and he said Daniel Snyder's a bad guy. He's got a dark heart, and I don't want to do it with him as the owner of the Washington franchise.
Dark heart.
Dark heart. Bad guy, dark heart.
That's a shot, man.
And now new ownership, new stadium coming, and finally John Riggins is going to get his jersey retired.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can take the dig that you're a bad guy, but a dark heart.
Dark heart, man. John Riggins in that era. Give me other running backs that
Mike Allstott. I mean, I'm talking about similar running backs.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going white, but I mean, he did have high knees and ran straight ahead and was just a power guy.
Would John Riggins and Christian Okoye be?
Okoye was just so freaking physical. I mean, I think Okoye was like 6'3". But yeah, I mean, as far as just being a physical runner, I think people forget how effective and efficient John Riggins was, though. Like, if you look at his numbers, they probably, again, aren't going to be the Saquons and the Bijans and the Jamar Gibbs, but boy, he put up some numbers.
That was very interesting. Final thought before we get out of here and turn it over to LT and Tyler back there to walk you through the anniversary of Jaws and a summer classic here. Cheese, do you like hot weather, cold weather? Are you a summer guy, fall guy, spring guy, winter guy? Do you have a favorite time of year?
Yeah, I mean, fall would definitely be my favorite time of year. But
is that because of the temperature or what you get to do in the fall? I'm talking weather-wise
A little
here.
bit of both, but it definitely leans more football. But in terms of, like, weather, I definitely take hot over cold every day.
I do, too. Wimbledon is going on. Right now, England, London's in a heat wave. They've got a record number 7 straight days over 34 degrees Celsius. They're expecting somewhere today in England to hit 36 degrees Celsius. They're melting over there. That's 96 degrees Fahrenheit.
I will tell you, when we were over there, and it was like on history, it was one of the warmest days because we were there in April. And it was 85 degrees, and there were so many pasty people that came out because they hadn't done anything all summer because, we were staying with a couple that lived over there, and they were like, this is way too hot. Like, they're just not used to that. 96 is crazy for London.
I know, but 96, you can't say, well, it's dry heat or wet heat. 96 here is going to feel, you can't be hotter than 96 here.
No, but
the humidity and everything.
No, you're right. The humidity takes it to another level.
So are they melting because do they not have air conditioning or anything? I mean, 96 outside, I mean, it's hot, but we go outside and do things all the time here at 96.
No, there are a ton of people that don't have air conditioning over in Great Britain.
Okay.
Yeah. Ireland,
it never
Scotland.
gets this hot, right?
Yeah, there's just no need for it.
Well,
Okay.
in the midst of all this, in about 3 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, Sinner and Djokovic face off in Wimbledon. For tennis fans, I'm not a tennis fan, but one of my buddies is. Sinner is like the upcoming, like he's the greatest in the world right now.
That's right, number
upcoming
one.
guy. Djokovic is like the LeBron of tennis. Supposed to be Sinner's most anticipated matchup, greatest challenge. One of the biggest matches in a while now, and it's going to be in 96 degrees at Wimbledon. So
I know, but
hey, and everybody's in suits. Rami Malek, I saw Hugh Laurie. They were just showing some of the celebrities that are in attendance. They've all got jackets on. I'm like,
they're not close the roof though, are they? It's a
No.
sunny, it's a
Yeah,
sunny
no,
hot
it's
day.
open,
They're not close the roof, are they?
they're not that soft.
Turn the air conditioning on.
French wood.
Yeah, the French would. All right, hang around after the commercial break. We start Jaws, so get your DVR ready if you're going to watch along, or you don't even have to have DVRs anymore. Get ready to stream on one platform and have our platform going on the other.
Don't know what to expect here, Dunaway.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'll think about you on the golf course.
Yeah, we'll have fun out there. I'll be drinking Shark Attacks. We got a professional bartender that is making those right now.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm going to go play down in, since I got extra time, I'm going to go play down in Prattville. I'm driving down to play the legislature today, so part of the RTJ. So that's where I'm headed right now. Thanks for being with us.
That's pretty amazing. Like me and Tyler's love for movies, there's no way I would drive to Prattville to see any movie.
But they can't bring that golf course to me. They can bring the movie to you. I got to go to the golf course.
Tremendous golf course. Played it a few times.
Yeah, that's what my buddy said. I don't think I played the judge there.
Yeah,
and I
with
played the senator a few weeks ago. I've never played
Is
the
it
legislature.
part of RTJ?
It is
Okay.
part of the RTJ down at Capitol Hill. So I'm about to get in that I-65 Friday traffic going to the beach.
Yeah, that'll be nothing for you.
Yeah, we'll be going back roads through Wetumpka. But stick around. We'll start Jaws, the viewing, after this quick timeout. I'll do my part right now. Until next time, God bless you. God bless America. We're back in a moment right here on TNR.
Follow Dunaway on Twitter and Instagram at Jim Dunaway.
Facing time for a crime, huh? Got a list of charges looming over your head. 5-0 got your back up against the wall. Them alphabet boys trying to sit you down on that rack. Well, have no fear. The People's Defender is here. Attorney J.B. Brown, powered by Alexander Shannara Trial Attorney. He meticulously investigates every case and challenges evidence. Dedicated to protecting the rights and futures of individuals facing criminal charges. Hit him up now at thepeoplesdefender.com. Thepeoplesdefender.com.
Physical office location, Birmingham.
Sterling and the fine folks at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster want to welcome you in for a great lunch or dinner starting at 11 a.m. every day. Chicken that's brined overnight and cooked to order, and the taste of the Delta with those Delta recipe tamales. Champy's is perfect for all your tailgating needs this football season. You can also choose Champy's for your next party, wedding, or birthday. Great food, great people. Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster, and everything online at champyschicken.com.
At Central State Bank, we are large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. Manage your money with ease, whether it's mobile banking, hassle-free checking, competitive loans, business solutions, or personalized financial advice. We're your hometown bank with big-time service. Visit us today and experience banking made simple, because at Central State Bank, you come first.
Member FDIC.
Next Round shirts, Next Round hoodies, and Next Round hats are all in one place. NextRound.store. Find your favorite piece of gear from your favorite show and put it in your rotation. You never know. You might be in one of our videos showing Next Round gear being worn all over the world. Find all your favorite Next Round gear by visiting NextRound.store. Place an order for you and that big Next Round fan in your life at NextRound.store. Look your best at work, at school, at the stadium, or anywhere you go wearing Next Round gear from NextRound.store.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Never miss anything from the next round when you listen on demand through the podcast platform of your choice. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, or Google Podcasts. Wherever you listen, always like, follow, subscribe, and turn on automatic downloads so you catch every part of the next round. Listen anywhere in the world at any time on the Next Round podcast feed and support the show by following, subscribing, and turning on automatic downloads on any podcast platform. Thanks for always making the next round a big part of your day.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
And we are live for our second hour here. I guess I'm pouring this on the top. Okay. We are doing an experiment we've never done before. This is kind of an extension of the Next Reel. Lance Taylor here from the Next Round. Me and Tyler Johns. And I am just putting on the finishing touches of the shark attack. I have been told that this is a ton of liquor. Did not mean to do this to us, but we needed treats and concessions while we were watching maybe the greatest film of all time. I know the film enthusiasts out there are going to tell you it's Citizen Kane or it's The Godfather, which I love both. But for me, my favorite film of all time is now Jaws. And I have told you, Tyler, it is the film that I have seen the most. And I'm not exaggerating when I said I've probably seen it 50 times. But we are going to watch it, and we are going to do our own commentary over the top throughout. We're going to give you interesting facts about the production, about the actors, about the scenes. And I think you guys will really enjoy this. We might do a terrible job with this, but we're going to do our best. But we do have popcorn up here. We've got shark attacks. And we're ready to get into it. So will this go smooth? I don't know. We've never done anything like this before.
Yeah, I'll add a little chapter in the description, and hopefully if you want to watch along with us, you can come back to this, and you can see our reactions in real time to what's happening in the movie.
Okay, so what do you think about this? I know we went shopping for this yesterday. We've got coconut rum in this. We have got vodka. We've got grenadine, which is supposed to be the blood. There is a shark in here. There's multiple sharks. We've got gummy sharks that we got.
Oh, nice.
So we do have a little treat there, but we do have the prop sharks that Maddie was able to find for us. Oh, and he just spit a bunch of grenadine out. But this thing is full of liquor. So anyway, we're going to see how this goes.
Alrighty, let's make sure that we will be able to hear the movie.
Okay.
So let me know if you hear anything.
Yep. Here we go again, the 1975 classic. Universal Studios will give you more deep dives on, how upset they were at the production. I have not heard the incredible John Williams score. There's the three lead actors, Roy Scheider. I do not hear it, Tyler. I do not hear it. So we are not off to a great start, but I do see it. So that's half the battle here. And if it gets to the point where we can't really hear it, we'll just go with it. But you gonna try it again?
So I'm trying to make it where it'll play through the board, but not over the air. So let me try something else real quick.
Yeah, I think we probably get dinged over the air for that. Fair?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Worst case scenario is I guess I can pull it up on my laptop since this is just a Prime rental, and we've got a headphone splitter.
Could you just throw subtitles on it?
I could do that too.
Just throw subtitles. I'm good with that. I mean, again, I can recite most of the movie. And for some of those, there are some really good improvised lines from 1975, including the USS Indianapolis, great scene that we will get to with Sir Robert Shaw. There it is. I hear the music. I hear the incredible haunting score. Just a little backdrop on that. John Williams, the collaborations with him and Steven Spielberg, I mean, you know them. From Indiana Jones, Star Wars. Well, Star Wars was George Lucas. But his first film they collabed on was Spielberg's first theatrical release, which was Sugarland Express. Not a bad film, Goldie Hawn. I don't know if you've ever seen it, 1974. But that was the first movie they collabed on. Spielberg's only done 5 films without John Williams composing the score. But to me, there's some great ones out there, Close Encounters, E.T., but this score, there's something so terrifying. When I am out in the open ocean by myself, I hear this theme playing in the background. By the way, not only nominated for Best Dramatic Score, it won Best Dramatic Score at the 1976 Oscars. I don't hear it anymore, though.
All right, so I just had to wait until the live stream caught up to where I was playing the movie to make sure it wasn't playing through the chat, and I believe we are good.
Okay, let's do it.
So,
bear with us. We're going to get this thing going. Once we get it cooking, we should be good to go. As I look at our shark here, I think it is a semblance of a white shark. I would go more of a salmon shark, which looks very much in the white shark family. No recorded fatalities, on record with the salmon shark because they're up around Alaska in that Bering Strait kind of area. Not a lot of swimmers up there, but this looks more like the salmon shark or maybe even a mako to a degree. I'll give you my shark knowledge too and where I learned all that as a kid. Yeah.
All right.
But are we ready to roll?
We are ready to roll.
So are you going to transfer and come in here to get your shark attack and popcorn?
Yes.
Okay.
I am going to hit play and then run in there real quick.
Let's do it. And if there's some down moments, we apologize because we are listening, but we're going to try to make this as entertaining as possible. Again, the first one we've done, it might be the last, it might be the first of many. We shall see how this experiment goes right here on the next round.
All righty. So everybody get your DVDs ready or your Peacock stream ready to go and hit play now.
So here we go. And I will tell you, the movie dropped on June 20th, 1975. So we're basically 51 years and change removed from when Universal dropped this. I don't remember as a kid. Like, I've got a weird long-term memory. I can't remember back. There are moments. I do remember being in my driveway, Forest Brook. My mom used to lay out one of those old ratty sun chairs. And I remember her going, "We're going to see Jaws again today." And it was like my 3rd or 4th time that summer as a 3-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there you go, the 3. And we'll give you Roy Sider, who obviously plays Sheriff Brody, Robert Shaw, Quinn, and Matt Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss. Just something about, like, I don't know how they did the underwater shoots. I know some of this was, actually done in a pool.
Yes.
Murray Hamilton gets the bigger font there over some of the other actors. Good Murray Hamilton story coming up in a little bit, but that music by John Williams, so freaking good. Verna Fields, the film editor, her pool was used for something. So we're on the beach scene here. Most people have seen this. Bunch of hippies, right, hanging out?
Oh, yeah.
Now, this thing was actually filmed on location up in Massachusetts.
Up in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. Now, there you go. Screenplay just rolled Peter Benchley, and they had to bring Carl Gottlieb in that actually had done some screen work before because Benchley was just an author.
Oh, hold up. Charles says they can hear it in the chat, so I'm going to have to pause
you
this
go.
real quick.
Yeah, you pause it. And I'm glad that they tell us that because, there would be some people that would be unhappy with us. This is where young local is eyeballing Chrissy Watkins. They're about to go for that nighttime swim. This is one of those movies we laugh at Ryan Brown about never seeing another Steven Spielberg classic, 1993's Jurassic Park. So are we just muting it?
Yes. Thank you, Charles, for letting us know because Universal would not be happy if we just played the audio of Jaws in full.
Yeah, but we are celebrating the masterpiece that is the 1975 cultural phenomenon. So we've got Chrissy Watkins. They make eye contact. They've never had a conversation. They're asking names again. They're both hammered drunk. I would say it's around 4 or 5 in the morning. Decide to go for a swim. This is never a good idea. I don't know if you... I've been in the ocean maybe one time when the sun is not out.
Oh, no, me never.
It's terrifying. I mean, in sharks, I mean, it is dusk and dawn. That is their primary feeding times. Not that they were really worried about this, Martha's Vineyard, but the more you look at great whites off the coast of Massachusetts, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, I think Massachusetts and then like Australia and
South Africa.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of just like
the Red
weird,
Triangle
areas
in
where
Northern California. This is a beautifully shot scene too. So you've got open water. I thought the interesting thing about this, Tyler, and I'm sure you've heard it before, the actress was strapped to a harness. And so when Jaws makes its first attack on young Chrissy Watkins here, when you hear the screams from her, those are actually natural screams because the way she was positioned in this belt, it was really pulling on her in a violent way. And so you'll see her get taken across. This is a horrifying, it's a great shot from Spielberg, though. The underneath shot.
It's iconic.
Yeah. And I told you I went open water snorkeling a couple of weeks ago in St. Martin, and I was at about that depth of water. And just looking up at Maddie with the mask, it looked like this. And all I could think about is Jaws. But Chrissy Watkins is floating. The legs are out. And here comes the shark. And there's the jerk. And you can see how terrified. I mean, this is not like a professionally trained actress. Did a really good job with this. You know, a lot of people are like, is this how the great white attacks? But, you know, this is what they do with their prey, man. They'll shake it up. A lot of times there's a hit and run, not with the great white. Typically they bite through, and very violent first scene. And I think this was terrifying for people that had never seen this before.
Oh, definitely. People in 1974 probably hadn't considered the possibility of getting just shaken by a shark and dragged underwater.
So Universal really took, they took a shot with Spielberg. You know, he had directed Duel, which was a made-for-television film, which is pretty good if you guys have never seen it. 1971. He had done some things. Rod Sterling, after Twilight Zone, did a show called Night Gallery, which is really creepy. He directed a couple of those episodes. But again, this was his second feature film. And I don't think anybody realized how this thing was going to explode, Tyler.
Definitely not. I mean, this absolutely revolutionized filmmaking.
And you know, Clay Travis has said this on our show before, and I agree. I think it is the most impactful film in history as far as what it did on a societal level.
Yeah, you take what it did for just people being afraid of the ocean to go in. That wasn't shark attacks weren't like a consideration that people really had before Jaws, and or at least not widespread. And then you also look at the filmmaking industry. Jaws was the first summer blockbuster, and now every studio tries to come out with these heavy hitter 4-quadrant movies to get people out and about during the summer.
So Roy Snyder, one of the A-list actors of the 70s, did some really, really good films. He's cast as Sheriff Brody here. Now, so the novel, and I finally went and read the novel this year because I told you I picked up reading in January. Mm-hmm. And so one of the first books I went was to see Peter Benchley's 1974 classic. More times than not, people are like, hey, the book's so much better than the movie. But because I was so well-versed in the movie, it was like the book was kind of the follow-up. There's details where I'll tell you about in the book in a little bit. But when Spielberg cast Roy Scheider, Charlton Heston wanted this role. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No.
Charlton Heston wanted the role, and he's like, Charlton Heston is too big to play a local, basically a local deputy, or I should say a local, sheriff in a small town. Like, he's just too big of a personality. And so they didn't want to cast Charlton Heston. He went after Roy Snyder, and I think it was a great cast.
Definitely. I think Charlton Heston would have overacted in a lot of really pivotal moments in the movie, and it might not have hit as well. But
yeah, Roy Snyder is very unassuming in this role.
Mm-hmm.
His fear for water, living on an island, which I've never understood. That's an ongoing theme with the Jaws because, not just one maid, 2, 3, and 4. And Lorraine Gray, who plays his wife, Ellen Brody, which big angle in the novel from Peter Benchley that is not told in the movie. And there's some really interesting things that they pulled out. And I think a lot of it was who they cast, and they wanted a PG rating. So I'll get back to some of the storylines that weren't included in the film. We see Sheriff Brody now walking on the beach with the gentleman that was trying to get naked with Chrissy Watkins. They are looking for the missing girl right now. This... I have always heard shooting on water is a disaster.
Oh yeah, Waterworld. That's like the most notorious for just going over budget and then not making any money because of all the issues.
Yeah, and even Titanic went way over budget. It was a disaster. They filmed a lot of that in San Diego, but James Cameron, obviously, after the fact, it was not a problem with the money that studio was able to make, and then obviously all of the awards that came in on the backside of Titanic. So they have now found the body. This is one of those images, and I don't know how they decided to do this, where basically it's just pieces of Chrissy Watkins and the crabs just eating her or finishing up on whatever the remains are. Just a gruesome scene right there.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it really is.
The chat is asking, like, how did this get a PG rating? There wasn't a PG-13 rating, so you just had to avoid getting an R rating.
Well, Universal was able to sell it. Now, this is the first of the summer blockbusters. Now, I don't know if you knew this. They used to not do summer blockbusters because most of the movie houses, they called them, or theaters, didn't have AC. So once we rolled into the 70s, most malls had ACs. And so Universal decided to roll the dice and, hey, we're going to come out with this summer. It wasn't a blockbuster yet until it became a blockbuster. But they gave it a PG rating because they thought it was family friendly around the summer. And they did pull some scenes. They had to edit some things. And again, I'll tell you some of those stories on if they would have left it in, because this is some graphic violence in some of these scenes. And it wouldn't get a PG rating today. It would definitely be PG-13.
Definitely not. I mean, there's a jump scare later on in the movie where Hooper's got the scuba suit on, and it still gets me even to this day. And
yeah, and I'll tell you more about that.
We talk about all the horror movies I go and see.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about that jump scare in a little bit, because there's some interesting things on that scene. And it is a beautifully shot scene, too, as far as like getting out of the boat, going under when they're looking for the lost fisherman there. So again, Spielberg, 27 years old when he did this, which is pretty crazy. This film won 3 Academy Awards, was nominated for 4. Spielberg was super pissed he wasn't nominated for Best Director.
Yeah, I believe it. He should have been. Well, who was he up against?
So this was 75 was a banner year. All the President's Men, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think Milos Forman actually won for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I forgot who all was nominated in that category. But again, 4 nominations for a shark movie where, something like this has never been done before. And again, the way it changed, how it revolutionized how we view the summer blockbuster. I don't think we're where we once were on the summer blockbuster. We don't have as good of movies now.
No, culture's just kind of pop culture, I should say, has kind of fractured just because there's so many things fighting for your attention now. So movies aren't really that water cooler conversation like they used to be.
So,
but then the flip side to it is nothing takes over like those movies used to. So now there just aren't really as many pop culture water cooler topics.
So we're looking at the scene now where Chief Brody is like, hey, we've got to put up signs. We got to close the beach. We just found this body. And I think the cool thing about this in Martha's Vineyard downtown, which I've never been up to that part of the world, or the States, I should say. I've heard it's beautiful, especially this time of year. But all of these people outside of the specific main actors, they're all locals. Like Spielberg went out and got all these locals, and we'll give you more on Robert Shaw's character as Quinn. The guy that Quinn is based on is actually a guy that is in this movie that actually was a shark fisherman from up there.
Oh wow, I had heard that Quint was based on a real guy, but I never knew that he was also local to the area where they shot this movie.
So the fourth character, in my opinion, outside of your main 3, is Murray Hamilton playing the mayor here. The sleazy mayor. The interesting thing is he's got the anchor jacket on, getting ready for the big 4th holiday. This is an accomplished actor that was in Anatomy of a Murder, a great movie from forever ago. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Was in The Hustler, was in The Graduate. He's been in a lot of big-time movies. The reason they cast him, they liked the fact that he looked a little like Richard Nixon.
I can see it, yeah.
You can see it a little bit. But he is the corrupt politician. Give you a little backstory. In the book, he was controlled by the mob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he couldn't close the beaches. Like, he was in debt. He had properties all over Amity Island, and he was just in a situation where he was getting pressed that side. I think it would have been too many layers to actually have that. I mean, look, you've got a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes on this, and, you know, how long are you going to go on this? So they couldn't really tell that backstory. But I think Murray Hamilton does a great job of capturing a very shallow, cheesy used car salesman.
Definitely.
Yeah, they cast him perfectly in this.
He wears some wild suit jackets throughout the movie, too.
I think small-time mayors do that sometimes, you know, be, you know, a little over the top, a little eccentric, and that's what he is. But, you know, basically telling Chief Brody, which this would have been a dilemma. Small town like this, you lose a 4th of July holiday, you know, that's probably 10% of your annual revenue, if not more.
Right, yeah, because you've got just everybody visiting for the beaches, and then obviously all the money they'll spend while they're there.
Now, I think you really make the shark the big villain with what we're going to see on the next scene, because this is where kind of the crossroads hit. You've got Chief Brody, who is trying to do right by the island and the safety of everybody involved. And then you've got Murray Hamilton, the mayor, that is like, hey, we've got to keep this open for the financial security. And then you've got this young boy, Alex, who's about to go for a swim. His mom really doesn't want him to go out there. They don't know, you know, about the Chrissy Watkins being attacked and eaten by a shark yet. But I think this is the moment that really wakes up the audience, and you're like, damn, this shark, he has come to play ball, and he is evil.
Oh, yeah, the little Kintner boy, definitely a very impactful scene. Little fun fact, this the actor that played Alex Kintner ended up opening up a sandwich shop kind of restaurant up in the area. And
he's still there and still operating it.
Still operates it. And the woman that played Alex Kintner's mother shows up to the shop one day, and she notices on the menu they have the Alex Kintner sandwich. And she's like, oh, you know, funny story, I played that kid's mom in the movie. And then kid who played Alex Kintner walks out and says, I'm the owner now, and they reunite.
And there's no way they would have recognized each other just walking down the street.
Oh, no chance. This is like 30 years later.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing here is like all of these locals coming up, like how different people looked in the mid-70s. Like there is no definition. Like when you walk down the beach at like Rosemary, you'll look at like, you know, the body types are just completely different than you had in Jaws. And I don't know if it's nobody worked out. There were no weights back then. Everybody's got bad teeth. It's almost like we're in England. The bathing suits are interesting. It's almost like he's just got casual shorts on where he just went to the gym. But it's just such a different looking beach. Again, 51 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it just reminds me of going through my my grandparents' photo albums of vacations with my dad. So it looks the exact same.
As a kid, I was just pulling for, I want to see a shark. I want to see a shark. I want to see a shark, because I got my shark knowledge honestly from encyclopedias. Like I would read encyclopedias, you know, from the Greenland shark, to the Mako, to the Port Beagle, all of these different sharks I was studying, and I would do it just through my encyclopedias. And so when I went to see this movie, I'm like, why have we not seen a shark? You can get to some of the production problems they had with the shark, but the brilliance in this, if you were to remake this today, and please never do, which I don't think they ever will, but if you were to make it today, it'd be CGI and it would be so cheesy.
It would be so cheesy. This movie works so well because they barely show you this shark, which we'll get into more later of why they barely show you the shark, but it makes it more terrifying because your imagination of what this shark looks like and what your perspective from as Alex Kintner would be is so much more scary than anything that they can create and manipulate on set.
Yeah, so he just gets dropped, the underneath attack from Jaws, hitting Alex Kintner. This almost, like when you see it, like would it realistically look like this? I don't know if you saw the attack in Egypt with the bull shark killing the guy last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. It was outside of the raft. It was eerily similar to that attack.
Ooh,
and it's on
scary.
video. and it comes back for seconds.
I think I'll pass on watching that.
Yeah, you probably should. This is the pivotal moment where they know they've got a problem on Amity. And I think this is where the audience becomes really, really terrified, and they realize this Jaws creature is bad news. Jaws was the first Hollywood film to be aggressively advertised on TV.
Really?
Yeah, so 3 nights before. So I guess on June 17th, they started this massive campaign on all 3 networks. And they spent $700,000 back then, which would equate to $4.5 million now on this campaign. And they just never had actively done that studios on television. A lot of it was print, a lot of it was billboards, but they had never done it on television.
That's so strange to imagine, like, not seeing a movie trailer on TV. Because I feel like anytime I watch YouTube at home or I'm watching TV, like, there's at least one every break of some kind of trailer, whether it's for Minions or the new Marvel movie, whatever Disney's coming out with. It's the way to advertise. Starting to die off, though. More people are leaning towards social media for movies that aren't necessarily advertised towards families.
What are you thinking on the shark attack? I can't decide if it's good or bad.
I like it. It's pretty tasty.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of liquor in here.
I don't mind.
So this is the sit down. Again, this is a ton of locals. So people that had no acting experience, Spielberg takes a shot on this. I think it makes it more natural. It's a really chaotic scene. The first town meeting on, what are we going to do about this shark problem? Because you've got mayor that is like, we've got to keep these open. All the shopkeepers, the hotel owners, they don't want it going anywhere. But I thought it was really interesting. You've only got a couple of trained actors that actually are SAG members, and then everybody else is just a local from Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, and I wonder how many people in this ended up trying to make it as an actor after this movie.
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
Because I had one line. This was my big break.
Yeah, I'm now a Screen Actors Guild member, and I think I probably can make this work and turn this into a career. I just think Roy Snyder's so unassuming as this character and really the roles it led to. I'll tell you another great role that he did is Sorcerer. I don't think you've seen it.
I haven't seen Sorcerer.
Yeah. So William Friedkin, the guy that did The Exorcist and other great movies, he was the director behind it. And I've heard a lot of people are like, they didn't cast that lead big enough. Like Snyder, that movie was too big for him to carry. Now, here we go. We get our first of the best character. There was one actor that was nominated for a BAFTA out of this. I don't know if you knew it was Richard Dreyfuss, and it wasn't Robert Shaw. And how Robert Shaw didn't get nominated for an Academy Award is pretty incredible.
I mean, his character is one of the best performances in film, in my opinion.
So Spielberg wanted one guy for this role. It was Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin was the tough guy. He thought he was perfect. He was an avid fisherman.
$6 Million Man, right?
No, that was Lee Majors.
Ah,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Lee goes after Lee Marvin, and Lee Marvin's like, looks at the script, I would rather fish than be in a fish movie. So he turned it down. I'll tell you another guy that really wanted it was Robert Duvall.
Oh, wow.
And Spielberg, had seen him in The Godfather and had seen him in The Godfather 2 and said, I think he's too young for this part. I think what you needed was a well-trained English actor, which you got in Robert Shaw. Robert Shaw did not want to do this part. His publicist and his wife talked him into it. He read the book. He was like, this is silly. I want nothing to do with it. And he had tax issues. When he's filming this movie, he's doing 3 other projects at the same time. He's doing a play and 2 other films. And so he went at one time 5 days without sleeping, he says. I find that hard to believe. Oof. But he was all over the place because he owed the IRS so much money.
I mean, I've gone 3 days, no sleep.
My God.
5 just sounds
Were you tortured?
Horrible. No, I was I was dealing with some really bad insomnia throughout college, and I was also working on a graphic sequence design project. And pulled a 60-hour marathon editing session to wrap it up.
So do you agree, though, that Quint is by far the best character?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll give you, as we get introduced to Matt Hooper here in a little bit, the problems that Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss had on set. You know, it's funny. Robert Shaw said of Roy Snyder, you know, Chief Brody, anytime we would have downtime, all he wanted to do was work out or tan. And sadly, Roy Snyder dies of melanoma just a few years ago at the age of 74, because he did love, you know, another thing, Jaws 2, a lot of it was filmed in Navarre Beach. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah. So half of Jaws 2 was filmed down there, including internal scene in the old Holodome, which I stayed in a couple of times. But talking to some people around that time, they said all he did was lay out. That's all he wanted to do was sunbathe, which is very weird, but you always see him with a tan, almost like Mike Shanahan, the former Denver Broncos coach, always has a tan. It doesn't matter if it's the summer or December, he's got that tan.
It's interesting you say that Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw had so many problems on set. I never knew that, but it definitely comes across on screen because Robert Shaw seems genuinely annoyed with Hooper at some points, and other way around as well.
His acting, they said Robert Shaw, and there's going to be contradictions here because I'll tell you about how much he drank before the first USS Indianapolis scene here in a little bit. And that's what he said he did in his downtime. Like, Roy wanted to lay out. He wanted to work out. I drank. That's what I did. And he said Richard Dreyfuss, all he did was talk. But his method was, if I'm going to do a film, I'm going to do it the right way. And if I don't like this person, I'm going to treat him like one of my kids. And that's what he did with Richard Dreyfuss. Like, kid annoys you, but you're just going to smile, wink, and just go on with it. But it does carry over to their performances. You can tell there is a uncomfortable tension between those two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's almost like like you said, like he's treating like one of his kids. He's just kind of pushing him around a little bit, kind of pushing his buttons. Like with the Hooper, quit playing with yourself line.
Okay,
that's one of my favorites.
This is the great scene where the two local fishermen, they decide, like, there's a bounty now, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to get my wife's pot roast. We're going to put it on this big meat hook. We're going to throw it out. We're going to get this $3,000 bounty. One of these fishermen is the guy that is local, that is based on Quint. So apparently during this 55-day shoot that I think turned into 159 days, Robert Shaw was seen walking around Martha's Vineyard with this local fisherman all the time, laughing, cutting it up, telling stories. So they became like fast friends.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's one of these two guys right here that, you know, this is that scene that is done, you know, early mornings, going out trying to. And by the way, I saw Scorsese talk about this scene right here, where Martin Brody is trying to learn a little bit more about sharks and shark attacks, and so he's going through these old books that I used to look at, and you see the reflection, you know, of the encyclopedias in his glasses. And I just heard Scorsese say that is filmmaking right there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and to think about a 27-year-old that really had done one theatrical release before this, it's just natural ability. And they also talked about Spielberg's ability to do numbers in his head, like knowing that we have production issues, we've got shooting delays, but he always had an answer for the studios, even when they thought about firing him.
I mean, there are just so many just well done, iconic shots in this film. We're going to get to another one coming up soon that I actually recreated for a college project.
You got to tell us about that. But, you know, I don't think, obviously, the locals had no idea the massive shark that Jaws was. And this is when he pulls the pier in. And I think this is one of the more terrifying scenes. You know, don't look back, Charlie. Just keep swimming. But can you imagine, like right here, this is beautiful filmmaking too, where you get shark stopping on the dime, pulling the pier out, and when the pier turns around and starts coming towards, you know, Charlie swimming.
I love the position of the camera too, where it's just on the water line, and so it's going under and over, almost like you're swimming along with them.
Well, and to your point, like there are a couple of scenes throughout this movie where you get water up on the lens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is old school filmmaking at its best. Obviously, no CGI in 1975. Right. This is a close miss right here. Charlie is able to get out of the water, as you guys know. But just the intensity and the drama that this one thing builds. And at this point, everybody in the theater is on the edge of their seats. I did read, you know, back to the graphic and the rating, or I saw this. Spielberg knew he had a hit when he was in a screening. A guy threw up, didn't leave the theater. He came back and sat down.
Wow.
That's when he was like, I know I've got a hit.
Yeah, that would say someone is committed to finishing the rest of the film.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, when I get sick, and it's been a long time, but man, I'm so soft. I want nothing to do with anything. And for that guy to be able to sit down and consume the rest of the film is pretty incredible. And look, and this was, the 70s to me, if you're just looking at pure films at their core, probably the best decade of films. But this was a very, very graphic film for its time as far as blood and guts.
Absolutely. And it still blows my mind how this didn't get an R rating even by 1974 standards.
So we are being introduced now, Richard Dreyfuss, Matt Hooper, the oceanographer, the expert, has been called to Amity Island. This is his first appearance. They didn't want Richard Dreyfuss originally. Now, and here's the reason. Richard Dreyfuss, not the best-looking guy in the world. They looked at guys like Jeff Bridges, John Michael Vincent, which drugs and alcohol derailed his career. He was in movies like Hooper, Coming Home. This was a hot name back in the day, and I know some older guys like me will know who I'm talking about.
Kind of funny that the guy who was in Hooper missed out on playing Hooper.
But, yeah, it really is. I never even thought about that. Hooper was after the fact. Hooper was 1978 after this. But they wanted a good-looking guy because in the novel, Peter Benchley's 1974 Jaws, Ellen Brody has an affair with Hooper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And very, very strange turn. I think that's another reason they cut it out, was to capture the PG rating. And they also, Spielberg wanted Richard Dreyfuss, but in the book, Ellen had the wandering eye. She was kind of mesmerized by Hooper the first time she met him. He comes over to dinner. We'll get to that scene here in a little bit. And then she seeks him out, which I'll give you more details on that. But they ultimately go with Richard Dreyfuss. Jon Voight wanted this role.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know about Jon Voight in this role.
I think Jeff Bridges could have played it, a young Jeff Bridges.
I think he could have done it, but I really like the almost nerdy look that Richard Dreyfuss has. That he's just a shark nerd. He loves
believable,
sharks.
Right? Like,
it's 100% believable.
Like,
yeah.
When I think of a shark expert, I really think of this Matt Hooper character.
Definitely.
Knows everything about it, gives a great backstory at the dinner table about how he became fascinated with sharks when the threshers attack his boat. Okay, that's the local fisherman that Quint was based off of. The guy that goes out with the dynamite, camo jacket, the old, what do you call those hats?
Like a trapper hat?
Yeah. So you got all these idiots out in these small outboard motor boats, and they're going out with dynamite. They're chumming. There's two dogs hanging off this 10-foot boat right there. But yeah, that was the guy that the character was based off of, and he was also in that other scene. Now we're throwing M80s out there, right? Literally fishing with dynamite.
That is just wild to me.
So this is when Hooper comes in. They're talking to the coroner. They try to sell it as a boating accident. And that's when it shows off some of the chops of Richard Dreyfuss, too. By the way, Richard Dreyfuss is a great actor. Now, I have heard not only the Robert Shaw, but people say he is a pain in the ass to deal with. He won Academy Award for Goodbye Girl. He was nominated for Mr. Holland's Opus. He's a tremendous actor.
Yeah, I think my favorite is obviously this performance, but outside of that, Stand By Me as the older narrator character. I forget his name, but in the movie.
Yeah, I think Rob Reiner directed that, but I think Spielberg might have been a producer on Stand By Me.
I believe he was.
Yeah,
Spielberg has a real knack for those coming of age sort of adventure stories with just a group of friends.
Spielberg producing Cape Fear, the new show on Apple, which I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't gotten a chance to see it. I've heard Javier Bardem's performance is great, though.
Very, very good. I love the 1992 score. Well, I shouldn't say I love it. I thought it was really good. And it's got a lot of the same, obviously, concepts, but man, this one takes some wild turns. But Spielberg producing a lot, doing better job producing than directing right now. Of course, he'd still always be one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah, he definitely will. Did you ever see Disclosure Day?
I have not seen it yet.
First 2/3 of the movie are solid. After that, it just kind of lost my interest. But I don't know how you deliver that ending in a satisfying way, to be fair.
So this is the tiger shark they have caught. This is a real tiger shark. I don't know if PETA would have a problem with this now.
They most definitely would.
But, I mean, that is a massive, looking to be about a 12-foot tiger shark. And interestingly enough, I told you, I love there's just an arrow in the side of that shark. So I never got the story if anybody actually shot the arrow into the shark or they just actually impaled the shark with the arrow. But
that's a very good question.
When we were in St. Martin, I met one of the locals, and I was talking to him just sitting there in the surf. And, we were going back and forth. And we go on like these 45-minute to an hour snorkeling, adventures, just, again, in open water. And he was telling me, we recently tagged a 12-foot female tiger between this island and the other. Whew. And that's all I could think about. I mean, it's exhilarating, and, life is, day to day as is, but all I could think about is like, damn, 12-foot tiger comes up on me, because that really is about the size of the one that they have strung up.
Yeah.
Now,
and this scene's got one of my favorite just little throwaway lines in a movie where Hooper's talking about what type of shark it is. And then you have this one random local who I think was like a friend of the director, or not a friend of Steven Spielberg, but a friend of somebody on set, and managed to get their way into just like a speaking role. Hooper says, "It's a tiger shark." And the guy goes, "Oh, what?"
Yeah, it's the guy in the camo jacket, I think, right here. Yeah. What? Again, there wasn't a lot of knowledge on sharks. Peter Benchley is a guy that grew up in Nantucket off the Cape, the guy that actually wrote the script, and we're going to get a cameo from here in a little bit. He got a $7,500 advance to write Jaws, and he had 18 months to do it. There were a couple of influences. I don't know if you've seen the 1971 documentary. I finally went and watched it last year. It's called Blue Water, White Death.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and it's the first exhibition. And what am I looking for?
Exploitation?
No. Expedition.
Expedition,
to go out and get a white shark on camera for the first time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And so this was done in 1971. Really, really good documentary. I recommend it if you like sharks. That was an influence. Peter Benchley, there was also a local fishing competition where a guy did pull in like a 2-ton, it wasn't a white shark, might have been a tiger. That was a little bit of the influence. And then, the biggest influence probably came from the Jersey Shore attacks, those shark attacks in the summer of 1916 between July 1st and July 12th. 4 people were killed. Now, they blamed it on a white shark, but you go back, there was one that was killed in freshwater, the last person that was actually killed by the shark. And that was freshwater way away from the ocean, so there's no way it could have been a white shark. It was, it was definitely a bull.
No shot that was a white shark. That had to be like a tiger shark or a bull shark.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think they now think it was a bull. And again, the bull shark, the most aggressive shark out there.
Yeah, that's definitely characteristic of a bull shark. And then also great line from the mayor just now. I don't want to see that little Kintner boy spill out all over the docks. Yeah.
And then Alex Kintner's mom walks up, fresh from the funeral, and blames Chief Brody with a nice slap across the face there. But that was Murray Hamilton, like his ability just to throw that in and just be so slimy about it. But it is a great, great line.
Yep. Pete Davidson, not a huge fan of his stand-up, but he's got a great bit about that line. It's like, people don't talk like that anymore. You watch the movie and you see the mayor say, I won't see that little Kintner boy spill out all over the docks. Nowadays, they should just say, nah, we'll just do it later.
Which, we need to get back to that raw, natural reaction.
Yeah, I like the 70s dialogue here.
But again, I mean, you see Roy Snyder, like his acting chops, less is better, just kind of the emotion on his face and like what has transpired. And he does feel guilty here. And I think this is the point where he's like, we really have to do something about this shark. And, it's funny. The first time I showed my kids this film, they thought it was boring.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we've desensitized ourselves to some of the the more over-the-top, grotesque movies out there. A lot of people think Rocky is boring now. A lot of people think Jaws is more on the boring side.
I mean, those movies are slower paced than movies of today, but that's just because of the time they were made in. You were meant to go through this emotional arc with a character instead of just jumping right into the most important part or the most interesting part of the story and then cutting back to the beginning or something like that.
So we're about to get to the dinner scene where Brody actually invites Matt Hooper over. He brings a couple of bottles of wine, red and white, because he didn't know what to go with. He didn't know what they were eating. I think at that point, Chief Brody's like, damn, this guy's a little more polished. We learned the background that Matt Hooper's got a lot of money, a lot of family money. Back to Peter Benchley. Did you hear some of the titles that were thrown out before Jaws?
What are some of the alternates?
So they came up with the title 20 minutes before the book went into publishing. They couldn't come up with it. So they got down to Leviathan Rising. There was Stillness in the Water, and then Jaws of Death. And Peter Benchley finally said, look, the only thing that is relevant here is Jaws. So let's just take it. The publisher at that point was like, this will be clean. It'll look really good on the cover. And they ended up going with Jaws. And you really never hear Jaws in any kind of that vernacular is just never out there. It fits perfectly for this movie. And let's just say this movie was called Stillness in the Water. I don't think it would have hit the same.
No, and the poster definitely wouldn't have. I mean, because the current poster we have for Jaws is the most iconic in film history, I would say. And if you want to see that poster better, make sure to stop by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision.
Yeah.
They bring us the viewing menu every day. And today, the viewing menu is Jaws.
Yeah, 205-969-8100, michelsonlaservision.com. The poster and the book cover, terrifying. Perfectly done with the great white and that frontal look. Iconic T-shirts. I've seen one. My son, actually, Jack, came over to swim yesterday, and he had the Jaws bathing suit on with different colorings of that iconic poster, which was hand drawn, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. That it was all that was hand drawn.
So
I saw plenty of Jaws gear when I was at Universal. You could buy little button ups that had Jaws all over it and Amity Beach signs and everything. And they had a huge mural for the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, you don't see that with Citizen Kane or Casablanca, The Godfather. I mean, what this did. I mean, there are a lot of pros and cons for what this did for sharks, but we wouldn't have Shark Week. Sharknado, that great franchise, is never made without Jaws. Now, this is the scene I'm talking about. In the book, so Matt Hooper comes over for dinner, brings the wine, and this is when Ellen Brody, played by Lorraine Gray, she's in actually 3 of the 4. She was the only one that got to be in number 4 with Michael Caine. But this is when she gets eyes from Matt Hooper. So in the book, she finds out Matt Hooper's staying at the local lodge. She actually telephones him up. She is actually the hunter, much like Jaws in this.
Wow.
And she gets Hooper to meet her for lunch, and they have a couple of drinks, and then, Hooper lays it on her. And ultimately, he does not survive in the novel like he does in the movie.
Yeah, that
and I think that set up his character arc for taking on his demise at the end.
I think it's a great idea that those subplots were cut. The Hooper and Ellen affair, as well as the mayor being ran by the mob, because that's just way too many layers for this movie.
I'll tell you, Tyler, it worked in the book. I still like that we're sympathetic, although he does survive in this, Matt Hooper. I just think the way these characters are, I think it fits a lot better. And that's why, I guarantee anybody that read the book before they saw the movie was like, oh, the book was better. But the movie the book was really good. Obviously, it's got a lot of the same, structure and substance, but those subplots, I just didn't think it was as good. So this is where they're setting up the story that Martin hates boats. They go back to it being, something in his formative years where he feared drowning. Now he's starting to realize there's more than just drowning out there. Hooper's
That's a great line. It's isn't there a clinical term for your fear of water? Yeah, drowning.
Yeah. And this is that, and I think people still like use this as kind of the gospel. Like most shark attacks are in 3 feet of water. Well, there's a reason, right? Like the majority of people, 90% are in 3 feet of water.
Right.
So, but this is also showing Matt Hooper, his knowledge of sharks, and he's kind of, loading Brody up with all of these factoids, and they're about to go cut open the tiger shark that they think is responsible for the death, and we will get to that in a little bit. But they pound out 2 bottles of wine and get a good buzz on before they do it. And by the way, Spielberg did allow drinking on the set. In this particular sequence, I'm not sure whether or not that was real wine. Again, we will get to Robert Shaw's character and his ability to pound some beers here in a little bit.
That was definitely real later on in the movie.
I always thought sharks had white blood when I was a kid. After I see this scene, when they cut into the bowels of the tiger shark here, because the first thing you see is like this white liquid spillage. And I was like, damn, they've got white blood. You see it right there.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, I assume they cut open a real tiger here. I never have heard on this particular scene. But Richard Dreyfuss doing such a good job of, you can just tell how bad the stench would be. I don't know what the worst thing you've ever smelt in real time was.
There was a beach I was on that had a real sulfurous smell. You ever been on a beach that has that rotten egg smell?
Yeah, that's
real bad.
But just imagine like rotting meat.
Yeah.
That has yet to been really truly digested. So this is when he informs Chief Brody, this is not the shark that killed little Alex Kentner, and we've got a serious problem. And they're about to really make the mistake of going out in a boat at night once they were hammered to go find a great white.
That is a really bad combination in every way possible.
See, and I don't need a lot of action in my films. I know you're all over the place. You like all genres, but I thought another one of the great things about Jaws and Spielberg's direction is just letting the characters develop one-on-one. And what you see here with Roy Snyder and Richard Dreyfuss is just 2 really good actors going back and forth.
Yeah, I think it's funny. None of my favorite parts of this movie have anything to do with the shark being on screen. Like, it's all just one-on-one moments or maybe 3 characters in the same room having a conversation.
So
that's where the movie shines, in my opinion.
Yeah, so now they're out on Hooper's private boat, which I never understood because he got dropped off at Amity. Like, I don't want to poke holes in this, but I don't know where this boat came from. But I just always thought as a kid, that is a nice-ass boat. And then it reminded me of Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Like the bad group of kids. They had like the souped-up boat like that.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, Charlie Brown had the little raft, and they had a badass boat with all the toys on it, like Matt Hooper's got right here.
Does Snoopy build the propeller or something to help Charlie Brown win?
Him and Woodstock figured it out. I think Woodstock ends up, not to give the spoiler away, and I forgot how many years ago that's been.
Yeah,
but
spoiler alert for Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown.
Woodstock wins the race. So here's the scene that we're coming up. So Verna Fields is the editor. She won an Oscar for this, for best editing. This is actually this scene where they go down and they are actually searching this boat for the fisherman that went missing. They did this in her pool. They filmed this scene. Yeah. And, this is, it's probably the biggest jump scare in the movie. Would you agree?
Definitely. I mean, this one gets me as a horror fan.
Yeah.
Like every single time when I went to go see Jaws for the 50th anniversary last year, I believe was the re-release. They re-released it in IMAX and Prime, and it still made me jump.
There was only one movie that beat it in the re-release last year on that weekend.
What's that?
Weapons.
Yeah. I could see it.
That was
had really good word of mouth.
Because they went back and made $8 million in a random weekend just to celebrate 50 years. And again, it shows you the cultural impact of Jaws. So back to this scene that they're about to do. So they've discovered the boat. It's floating. The fisherman's been missing. he talks about, that's, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the fisherman's name. Chief Brody's about to remind us. But obviously they use a prosthetic head here. But for the time, for 1975, like I would have said every bit of that is a real like dead person underwater. Like again, he did really, really good job with that.
Yeah, it is just fantastic looking. It holds up to this day.
Yeah, I just hated the fact that he drops the tooth. Like if you've got that tooth with you, there is no denying it. And I don't know if you've ever seen a megalodon, a real tooth. I was at a place north of Seattle back in the fall, and it was one of these little random shops where they sold, trinkets and different stones, and they had a couple of megalodon teeth.
Oh, that's really cool. I've never seen a megalodon tooth in real life.
Yeah, big ass tooth. But this is almost the size of that, and unfortunately, Matt Hooper drops it. But yeah, they use a prosthetic head here. They're using a swimming pool. And I just love the lighting underwater. I think they did a really, really good job of that, like selling it that, yeah, you're in the ocean here and it's believable.
Yeah, movies today still can't get this look right. And I'm not sure what it is.
Well, and I couldn't believe, like as a kid, I'm like, oh my God, he's not getting off this boat. Like the balls on this guy, because I just thought the shark would be anywhere anyone was in the ocean. But Hooper drops in. Matt Hooper, his knowledge of sharks, I think at this point, he's not really worried. He knows they've got an issue, doesn't really realize how big the issue is, but, he's playing percentages here. What are the chances sharks going to come up on him? But he gets his wow moment here in a second. And as a kid, this terrified me. And I'm like that with you. Like this is one of those jump scenes, but you see that tooth. It's embedded wrong, though,
Oh yeah, it sure is.
It's backwards again.
I never noticed that.
I hate to poke holes in this, but the tooth was upside, so you had the triangle pointing up, which would be impossible in this situation. But again, it plays to the audience, which most people wouldn't notice that. And there is the prosthetic head that pops out, and he drops everything. If he would have been deeper, man, he gets the bends. I think in Jaws 2 at the beginning, the opening scene, somebody gets the bends.
I think that's right, yeah. Because Jaws 3 was at SeaWorld.
At SeaWorld, yeah.
And that
Dennis
one
Quaid.
sucked. Yeah. And then Jaws 4, funny thing about Jaws 4, Michael Caine's had never seen the movie, and he was asked about it, and he says, yeah, it's true. I've never seen Jaws The Revenge. I have seen the house it bought, though,
right.
And I really like that.
Well, that was Michael Caine talking about, I read the first page and the last page of a script, and that's it.
Yep, he reads the first page and the last page to make sure he lives through the whole thing, and then he decides if he's going to take it or not.
Okay, so here we go with the mayor again, and this is when Hooper is trying to sell the mayor along with Chief Brody. Like, we have got a problem. You've got to shut this down. And now the mayor, Murray Hamilton, just in denial. Like, we're going to keep these beaches open. We really don't care. Hell or high water. We're going to get this thing done. And again, you see a ton of the local Martha Vineyard locals. And this must have been fun. The only semblance of something we had here, and ironically, it was 1975 or 1977, Stay Hungry, when Arnold Schwarzenegger made his film debut with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field. And they filmed it right here in Birmingham.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I remember my good friend Frank Bromberg. They filmed multiple scenes at the Birmingham Country Club. And so a lot of the Birmingham locals got to be a part of that. And I know they really, really enjoyed that. They also filmed Cobb here in 1994. I was a part of that. I was able to play an audience member, which I'm featured in the film. You can actually see me. And then I play a Philadelphia Athletic where we have a bench clearing brawl. Roger Clemens is actually the pitcher, but I'm in that too. But that was really cool to be on set at that point, loving film and seeing what it's all about. And that's what all of these people of Martha's Vineyard got to experience in the summer of 1975. I always thought they did a really good job of painting the fin on the Amity Island welcome sign.
Oh, yeah, that looks great. And then just the little googly eyes and help, shark. It works so well.
And Hooper tells the mayor, that fin is to scale. Like, you have no idea how big this shark is. It is massive. But apparently, Murray Hamilton, the mayor, doesn't listen to him at this point. again, I think he's perfectly cast.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
sometimes you just become so in love with the film that you can't see anybody else playing these parts.
True.
And maybe, it does work. Maybe Charlton Heston could have pulled off. Charlton Heston was a great actor, iconic. Maybe he could have pulled off Chief Brody. Maybe, John Voight could have pulled off Matt Hooper. Maybe Robert Duvall could have pulled off Quint. But the way it went, these characters are these characters. Like when I was reading the book, all I could see was Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper. And I was like, I don't think Matt Hooper is going to bag Chief Brody's wife, but he was able to pull it off. I also like the subtle, backdrops of that lighthouse on the island.
Yeah, it works so well to give every shot some depth. Like you can just clearly see it in the background, and it just makes everything feel more dynamic.
As the mayor's pulling off in his big Cadillac, the Sedan DeVille right above at eye level again is a one-way sign, and I think that's somewhat symbolic. Like the subtleties of Spielberg at 27 years old to be his second feature film, to be able to direct at this level. I mean, you saw, and I think film critics, and I went back and read some of the reviews from like a Roger Ebert, they saw early on like this guy has crazy potential.
I mean, if you just, I think I only need the one shot to show that, and that's coming up in a bit, the dolly zoom of Chief Brody on the beach. It is just absolutely fantastic, and it's something that you don't need a budget to recreate. You can do this at home with your phone.
So back to the summer blockbuster. Again, we kind of talked about the fact that there wasn't AC in a lot of these movie houses, so they decided to give this a shot. But this thing made $100 million in 37 days.
That's insane for 1974.
And Spielberg was the youngest director to ever pull in $100 million until recently with Obsession. Tell us who that director is. Again, I saw the film last week for the first time, but it is past this mark.
Oh, so that would be, gosh, I'm blanking on his name. I've been talking about him for weeks now. He's from Mobile. It is Curry Barker.
Yeah.
And he Obsession is now, I believe, the most profitable movies of all time, or at least a part of that top 10. And he signed an 8-figure deal for his next movie. He's just absolutely killing it. It's amazing how he's able to just do so much with so little. It really forces you to think outside of the box and really flex your creativity and come up with solutions when there are no easy ones.
So here we go, Peter Benchley. Peter Benchley, by the way, was 27 years old. He plays the reporter that is on the beach giving a live update from the 4th. They're talking about, hey, look, there are shark issues now at Amity. We've got helicopters over the top. We've got lifeguards. But Peter Benchley got his cameo there. He was offered for this. Like, after this came out in 1974, it became just a huge buzz around the book. So everybody was bidding on this. Ultimately, Peter Benchley gets $150,000. And here's the key, 10% of the net profits.
Ooh, wow.
At this point, Peter Benchley had $600 in his bank account, was absolutely destitute, was begging for an advance, which he ultimately got the $7,500 advance. But by the time he wrote the screenplay and Carl Gottlieb had to come in and help out with that, he was destitute again and had no idea this thing was going to be this big. But after he does it, he decides to write the 1977 film, The Deep, which, again, not a great film, but from the nostalgia, I love it. Like, I still watch The Deep all the time. But he wrote The Deep. He wrote Beast, which ended up being, I think William Peterson played the lead in that. It ended up being a made-for-television movie on NBC back in the early 90s. But Peter Benchley, I mean, hell, he didn't have to do anything after this.
No, he didn't. And I bet he was looking for The Deep to be his Jaws 2.
Oh, he was, and so were the studios, and did not work out to that level. Great cast, though. Nick Nolte, Robert Shaw back for that, Jacqueline Bisset, Louis Gossett Jr. If you've never seen The Deep, have you not?
I haven't seen The Deep.
You need to check it out. Yeah, really, really, in my opinion, still, it's kind of a cult classic. So this is where Chief Brody tells his kid, hey, go play in the pond. Kid says pond's for old ladies. Tells him just do it for the old man. And the beach is completely packed. I've never been to one of these northeastern beaches.
I haven't either. I think the closest thing I would have been to is Myrtle Beach, which is still most definitely not north.
Myrtle Beach, no. I mean, is it above? No, it's south of the Mason-Dixon.
South Carolina.
Yeah. They don't look like comfortable beaches.
No, they don't.
I mean, you can't. And the water, it's lake water.
Yeah, it looks dirty.
Yeah, and there's not a chance. I mean, that's one of the things, and full disclosure, again, when we were snorkeling a couple of weeks ago, when the sun was out, the visibility literally was 20 to 30 feet deep. When the sun was not out, when it was back behind clouds, the visibility wasn't great. Had no desire to go out there with no visibility. Mm-hmm. And what these people are doing here on Amity Island, they're just like, you know what, we're going to throw caution to the wind. We're going to go swim around with this. I think they almost said it was, the way they portray this is a 30-foot shark, which we need to get to the shark. Because do you know how many minutes into this movie it is before we actually see shark?
I'm going to go with 47.
So the film is 124 minutes. We do not see shark until 81 minutes into the film.
Wow.
Yeah, and the infamous scene, we're going to need a bigger boat, which we will get to here in a little bit. But it's one of the great things about the filmmaking from Spielberg. Like, you have this disaster of this mechanical shark that weighs over 1,000 pounds, where manually you've got production crew that is dragging this thing around, but it's not operating the right way. So after problem after problem, after the budget going over and over, they named the shark, and a lot of people know this, Bruce. Bruce Raymer was the attorney for Steven Spielberg, and Bruce was on his ass nonstop. You're going to get fired. You've gone over budget. The shoot has gone too long. And so the problem with the shoot, more so, weather was a problem in Martha's Vineyard, but the mechanical shark was the bigger problem. So they, aptly named it Bruce.
Yeah, I read that the salt water was the real problem for that mechanical shark. That, fresh water wouldn't have been too much of an issue, but salt water was really getting into the gears and stuff of the mechanical shark and just causing it to not do anything.
The Rondeck chairs? What are they called? I think they're a Rondeck. It's kind of they're different colors. And anyway, I got a couple of them at the pool. And so the pool was salt, first world problem, before now it has turned to chlorine. But when it was salt and those chairs were in there, the screws rusted quickly.
Oh,
and you hear people that have saltwater boats, you got to clean them a lot more because of those issues. So this is pure out panic. The two kids show up. They act like they're the shark. Very, very dumb situation from these kids. They almost get shot. The mayor thinks, we've got a serious problem now because the shark has shown back up. But it's what we would call, Tyler, a false alarm. But we do see panic ensuing here.
And then back to all of the little details about the mechanical shark. Jay Bake asked in the chat, wonder if that's why the shark in Finding Nemo is named Bruce.
It is.
It is 100% the reason why. Yep, it's a tribute to Jaws and the story behind that.
That is a good call, though.
Yep, good catch.
Asking about that. So the budget went over 300%. And I don't know, and especially a non-established director, for Spielberg to be able to, and I will say, if you talk to somebody that is very prepared with an answer and they don't bullshit you, you seem to give them a little bit more leeway. So he was always ready when the studio head would come to him, what is going on? Why are we 10? Why are we 15? Why are we 20 days over? And why are we going over budget by 50%? He always had an answer. And it was always very believable. So they were able to, roll with him on that. But I don't know any young directors in Hollywood that would get this leeway. Typically, and especially back in the day, head of studio would just fire a director. They bring a new guy in. They pick it up. They almost actually shut down this whole production.
Yeah, they always say that the only person on set that the studio will allow to be inexperienced and still be on set is the director.
Yeah, but when you're 27 years old and you've only got one in the holster, kind of hard to make that argument. Now, this is, we do get a look at the shark right here. because this is where the Boy Scouts are out there. They're in the pond. Yeah, so you get the underneath look from the shark. This was terrifying, too, because, and I think this is beautifully shot, too, because the leg just floats to the bottom.
Yep.
And, yeah, leg with chew on, just bitten off midway through the thigh. And I'll never forget watching this as a kid, because you always wanted it to come on TV because, you know, HBO, it took them a while to secure the rights. The first time after the theatrical release it ever was back on TV was in 1979. And I just remember saying, this is the go-to. This will be the commercial break on this shot. Thinking that to myself as a 7-year-old. And it actually played out like that the first time I saw it on television. And it's when he brings up his son, who is in shock from the shark coming past after the attack in the pond. And then you see Chief Brody just look off into the distance. That's the moment he knows we have got to get Quint involved. We've got to get on this ship. We've got to go out and we have got to, we've got to kill this shark.
Yeah. I mean, and there's something so much more scary about seeing the severed leg with a shoe on than a severed leg that's also barefoot. I don't know what it is.
This played out in real time. I don't know if and it was one of the old VHS. This is probably 30 years ago. But the group, I think they were outside of South America. I forgot which side of the country they were on, or the continent they were on. But they're open water swimming, and it's, a group of exchange students, and they're all in this deep body of water. Somebody yells shark, and Great White comes up and takes her leg off. Ooh. And they're able to somehow, and I don't know how with the leg off you would be able to get the tourniquet on. But she survived, so she still does interviews on Shark Week. But it actually played out almost like that, not in a pond, in the open ocean. I don't know what we're going to do about this, Tyler, but I got to take a piss.
Go for it.
Normally, can you keep this thing going?
Yeah, I'll keep it going.
I don't know how often, it's one of the things I hate doing about going to a movie. I try not to drink at a movie as much because I don't want to have to get up and go to the bathroom. I do know this one forwards and backwards, so I'm not going to miss anything that haven't seen before. But I will be back in 90 seconds.
Go for it. I got you. I'll hold down the
Tell
fort.
me what I missed.
All righty. All right. So, y'all in the chat, let me know if you've got any questions for me. I'm always down to answer them. We got Chief Brody finally trying to convince the mayor, hey, we need to hire Captain Quint. He needs to kill the shark. It's got to get done today. It's got to be done yesterday. And, I mean, it works well because the mayor is genuinely saying, I'm working in the town's best interest. The businesses, the small businesses need this tourism money coming in. And Brody's saying, everybody thinks you're on the side of basically the shark. You want the beaches open, and you want it to be open season on any of the townspeople that come here. And also, side note, smoking in a hospital is something that only happens in a 70s movie. It's so wild to see in 2026. When you're watching a movie, because you just know that there's about 50 signs before you even get to this room saying, do not smoke. If you smoke, we're throwing you out. If you smoke, it's illegal. Don't do that. So that's just a weird little 70s artifact. It's left over in movies. And here you see Brody and Hooper visiting Captain Quint, trying to get him to sign on board. All the shark jaws on the wall. All right, Lance is back.
That was quick. Did he just pour Chief Brody? Is that a shot of rum?
It is. They're cheering to bow-legged women.
So I thought these guys really existed at a prevalent rate, and maybe in some certain fishing villages they do. I would think that Quint is kind of a dying breed, though.
Yeah, that's a rare bird for sure.
But you can see the back and forth between him and Hooper right here. He does not want Hooper to go on this boat. He wants to go alone. And this is when Brody's like, I got to go, and, we need the expertise of Matt Hooper. Won't seem to tie the C knots, which he's able to do, right?
Yep, he knows knots. Which is surprisingly more of a thing than I ever would have thought. When I worked landscaping, I had somebody try to quiz me on knots. And they were like, if you can't do 7 knots, you're not a real man. It's like, oh, okay. Well,
I can
guess I
do
need to start
the
learning knots.
rabbit ears and then the double knot. That's about it for me. I'm not a seafarer. I wouldn't be good at this. I would definitely get seasick. I wouldn't have been part of the Orca crew here. But Matt Hooper, very impressive on tying the knots.
I used to be able to do a running bow line. Don't know if I'd be able to do it now.
Oh, this is when he grabs Hooper's hands, and he feels like he's got those soft Ryan Brand hands.
I was about to make a joke. He's got brown hands.
I'll tell you, though, I think Richard Dreyfuss was still in his 20s in this film, and he looks a lot older, doesn't he?
Everybody looks so much older back then.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
So I went to the Jaws exhibit in Los Angeles at I forgot what the name of the museum is. It's the big film museum there. Mm-hmm. It was a rainy day in L.A. It was the day before Rams played Arizona this past January. It was the regular season finale. But we were killing a Saturday, and I wanted to go check this out. And it was really cool because of all of the different props. They had like 3 different collectors that had lent this to this exhibit. And one of the things they had was the 3 main characters, like outfits, the main outfits, like that jacket.
Oh, wow.
That whole get-up from Quint was on display. And how much bigger he was than Dreyfuss and Roy Snyder was pretty amazing to see. But it was really cool, some of the props, some of the different international movie posters. Because the iconic one is the Chrissy swimming over the top with the upward great white going up after her. But, like, there's some really, really cool international posters out there.
Definitely. I always love looking at the Japanese posters for stuff like Star Wars and Jaws in particular. I think those are 2 of my favorites.
See, and I know you can respect the movie poster, and I saw a documentary on, how the movie poster is dead now because, everything is computer generated now. It's not the actual artist. But, back to what you said, like this movie poster was so pivotal. And throughout the 70s, even into the 80s, like we would have a newspaper and it would show you, run times in the different movies. But I would actually go to the theater sometimes, walk around, because again, television wasn't big on promoting these movies back then. Look at the different poster, and I would pick the movie I was going to go see by the poster.
I mean, that's the whole point of the poster is to entice you into seeing the movie. But
now it's about the actors' names and their likeness, and who gives a shit? Like, it's about the story.
Even promoting a movie based on the actors' names is starting to die off. There was that movie Wolves with George Clooney and I think Brad Pitt.
So bad.
It just got ripped apart.
Yeah.
And, 15, 20 years ago, that would have made bank at the box office just because it's George Clooney and Brad Pitt coming off of Ocean's 11 or something.
Now, that was an Apple release, though, so it probably didn't help.
True. But, the art of movie posters is dying, unfortunately, and that Jaws sort of style carrying over into the 80s and 90s with, like, the Indiana Jones VHS art and the Goonies, that really just bright, saturated, almost cartoonish look on all the characters. I think it's just the perfect look for movie art.
I love this scene where they're loading up the Orca to actually go out on this voyage to try to capture and kill this shark. And, Lorraine Gray's character here, sending off Chief Brody and how distraught she is. A little overacting here, but I love Roy Snyder, how like sublime, almost like in this haze of just numbness of like, how did I get in this position? Like, I took this job as kind of my golden parachute, kind of a retirement, fade into oblivion job. And now I'm on this boat where I'm terrified of water and we're going after this shark. and just plays it so well. And the shot of the orca, leaving port, this little old ship, and I think there's something important about that too with these three individuals. And again, we'll get to the scale of the shark compared to the boat here in a little bit, and they're out chumming, which I've never done this. I've talked to a lot of friends that have gone out shark fishing. This is a big thing, but I've never been on a boat with chum.
I have, but we weren't trying to catch sharks.
What in the hell do you chum for then?
Just bigger fish. Throw out some smaller fish, try to catch a bigger fish with it.
Yeah, I just always assumed, if you're chumming, you're going for a shark. And again, Roy Snyder playing the character so well. He's got, napkin over face, can't stand the smell. And you just see Robert Shaw just laughing like, what a pussy. It's just what he's thinking right there with his rod and reel and his cold beer. And I don't even know the brand of beer he's drinking there, but that's that old tin can where it really took a man to actually bust that thing. Like now you can rip a aluminum can, apart with your teeth if you want to. But this is Robert Shaw really pounding out beers and then looking at Hooper. Great ad lib.
Him crushing the paper cup.
Yep. And that still shot of the ocean
Mm-hmm.
behind Hooper there. Again, there are so many subtle scenes here. And I'll show you my favorite, and it's just a quick shot from Spielberg. It is coming up, though, probably in the next 20 minutes aboard the Orca. Just a beautiful shot. And some of the nighttime shots out there as well. And if you're, just jumping in, this production went from a scheduled 55 days to 159 days, which is a long time to shoot a movie. I heard Robert Shaw was miserable on this set for a multitude of reasons. But when we get to that final Robert Shaw scene, the water was apparently freezing. Did not like that. I hate cold water, by the way. Again,
yeah.
First world problem. The water really is good on the pool right now, but you get into that, people that don't know water temperatures, sub 82 degrees is freezing.
Mm-hmm. Here we got Captain Quint showing Roy Scheider how to do a knot, little brown eel coming out of the hole.
It was interesting, though, that his character would have respect for either one of these guys. I guess maybe he respects law, but you can just tell that the Quint character respects the Brody character and can't stand the Hooper character.
Definitely.
It seemed like he was indifferent when it came to Roy Snyder, though.
Yeah, I think part of it comes to class, I guess, because Hooper is that sort of rich college boy with the soft hands, and then Roy Scheider, lawman, that's a blue collar job. You're getting out and you're getting your hands dirty every day. You're doing what needs to be done. So maybe Hooper respects that a bit more. But one thing I like about this sequence is you start to see Hooper talk more and be more vocal than the other characters, and I think that just provides a nice tonal shift in the movie.
And I love the instincts of the great fisherman / hunter. And Quint here with Robert Shaw, as he puts the harness on, knowing that we're about to have a situation with this big-ass shark. And by the way, the mutton chops or axe handles or whatever you want to call them with those sideburns from Robert Shaw, like, you don't see sideburns like that anymore.
No, those are legendary sideburns. You wouldn't see this outside of a Captain Quint costume.
Hey, true admission. I've never been deep sea fishing. Have you?
No, I haven't. I did one of those smaller trips where you go out on more like a party boat with like 30 other people. Never caught anything, but as far as deep sea fishing, no. I'd always planned to go with my dad, but we never ended up going.
I thoroughly enjoy fishing, like the intercoastal, on the bay, that kind of stuff. Again, I just, as poon as it is, man, like I cannot handle the seasickness. And that is one of the worst things. You get out there, there is not a captain in the world that is going to turn around for you. You have to tough it out. So no thanks. This particular scene where he first drops line and he's trying to reel in the shark, it's very still in the water they're filming here, but man, it fluctuates. It's back and forth nonstop. But I love the old props like this rod and reel. It was at the museum. That chair that he's actually sitting in was at the museum. So if you ever have an opportunity, if you're a huge Jaws fan, and if you're, an hour plus in with us by now, you probably are. It's just something that any Jaws aficionado would absolutely love.
Can you sit in the chair or is it behind display glass?
Yeah, behind display glass.
That's disappointing.
Now there is that one scene where, well, I'll tell you when we get to it, but they actually, the rolling camera straight at Chief Brody's eyes, there is some interaction you can do with that one. Like, how much sunblock would you need to be out there? Like, Chief Brody is the only one that puts on any sunblock and just puts it on the nose. I never really understood that.
He's the tannest guy out there. He's the least likely to burn out of all three of them.
And so I did think that was a little interesting. Now, if you are the chief of an island, you probably do have a little bit of a base tan. But for him to be the darkest of the three when those other two are on the water nonstop probably was another flaw here. But again, Roy Snyder wasn't going to not be tan.
You got a shark hunter and an oceanographer, and both of them are as pale as me.
So we'll get to the underwater sequences here in a little bit. It was a couple from Australia, and you probably are not familiar with them. I am, just because of watching a lot of the shark documentaries growing up. They were always the couple that would film sharks underwater, Ron and Valerie Taylor out of Australia. And they were also part of the documentary I was telling you about, 1971, Blue Water and White Death. But just a couple that were around sharks all of their lives, and they are a big, big part of the filming of Jaws in 1975. But there you go. Like Richard Dreyfuss doing the facial expressions.
I love the faces he makes at Captain Quint. It just, it really sells his character as like this just shark nerd college kid who just doesn't really take it seriously as far as, compared to Quint, who is looking at this like life and death.
At very 70s, Roy Snyder just lit up a heater. Here we go. This was improvised too. I don't have to take this abuse much longer. That was from Mutiny on the Bounty, from Matt Hooper atop the Orca. See, and Quint really needed him because he can also drive the boat, like little small things you don't know about or you don't realize. These are incredible shots too.
Oh, yeah.
Like really, and I guess they did this with a handheld, like kind of in the crow's nest above the Orca, looking down above Robert Shaw, seeing Roy Snyder hunched over on the side above the chum. Like, that's just a beautiful shot.
I mean, it's perfectly composed too. I mean, so in filmmaking class, they teach you about like the golden ratio. You start in the center and then you spiral out counterclockwise as you go out wider in the frame. And that shot was just perfectly composed to where you see Hooper, then you see him yelling at Roy Scheider, and then you go out to the water around them.
Now here
to give it that depth.
Here we go. We're coming 81 minutes into the film where we're about to finally see the shark, and this is probably the most iconic. Not my favorite scene, but the one that you're like, holy shit. So shark comes out of the water. At that point, there were a lot of critics that were like, man, great whites can't come out of the water. Now, since we have seen, these things jump out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
So very realistic, at least on that part, which didn't seem realistic at the time. And I'll tell you, I think almost that shark in 1975, Bruce, is more realistic than the CGI you get now.
100%. It's, there's just something tactile about creating an actual animatronic, and then maybe you add a layer of CGI over it to really give it its own style. But it being physically there and you being able to touch it, touching it, going through the actual water that they're filming on, just makes it so much better and makes it hold up 50 years later.
So Roy Snyder, who's been nominated for multiple Academy Awards, that scene where he chums, sees the shark, backs up with cigarette in mouth, the fear and the concern on his face when he says, and it was improvised, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those iconic film lines that we still quote 51 years later, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's very few that that almost end up taking on a life outside of film, where we're going to need a bigger boat is referenced in so many other contexts outside of Jaws that, I mean, it's got its own life outside of the movie.
So, like, there is this adventure sequence in the 1974 novel from Peter Benchley, but I think Spielberg even took it to another level to pay a little tribute to Moby Dick. Now, full disclosure, I've never read Moby Dick. You know, I know the basics of the novel, but now you've got this sequence where, like, you're all in. We know what the mission is. We are basically obsessed and consumed with this shark, but the shark at the same time is obsessed with them. And you've got this cat and mouse now for the final, 40 or so minutes of the film.
And I love throughout all of this, Hooper is trying to get Roy Scheider to go out on the end of the pulpit to give his picture some scale. It's like, I need something in the foreground to really make it dynamic.
No, thank you.
It's like, no, there's a great white. We've just said it might be 20, 25, 30 feet long. I'm not going out there.
Yeah, and this is another one of those things where, you're trying to not only tag the shark, but you're actually trying to be able to mark the shark with these barrels that you're going to attach to the shark with a harpoon. And I never, like, as a kid, I was like, oh, the shark should be able to take those under. Like, to know how impressive and how the strength and the mass of this shark to be able to pull those barrels under. Like, you just don't understand physics, I guess, as a 3 to 5 year old.
Right. You don't understand how much extra force it would take to take something that is meant to be buoyant all the way down.
See, and this is another one of the things, the intensity and, like, on the edge of your seat the whole time, like Hooper trying to get this knot tied before Quint actually launches, the harpoon into the side of the shark. I mean, this is one of those, you're just on your edge, like, just so intense. Gets it. And
just
again,
barely gets the knot tied.
Barely, but again, how they do the sequencing of that. I don't really know what drug the barrel's under. I don't know if you've got any knowledge on that, how they actually did that at that speed.
No, I wish I did. I wish I knew how they did that.
I would assume they pulled it behind a boat, probably.
I would think so.
But also, you're pulling it at a downward angle, so I don't know really how you do that. But beautiful shot of the orca now chasing shark, which really at this point, I think I'm going back to shore. Once I saw the shark, I'm going to regroup, and we're going to figure out another way to get this shark. Because my ass ain't out there on that boat trying to make this thing happen.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
That is my favorite shot right there.
That is a beautiful shot.
Where Quint is, I don't know what it's called. It's almost like the plank, the front of the ship, where you walk out onto the front of the ship. I know I sound like a complete idiot here.
So I think the front of a ship is called the bow.
Okay, it's the starboard in the back.
Starboard is right and port is left. The stern is the back.
Okay.
And but Hooper called that little ledge the pulpit earlier.
So
I don't know.
In filmmaking now, or back then, really, you waited for lighting. Spielberg was filming 24/7 basically, and I think some of the best shots are, when sun was setting with Robert Shaw in that spot. But now we're aboard and we're about to get into the infamous USS Indianapolis, which is so beautifully done by Robert Shaw. He wanted to do this very authentic, where they're sitting around, they're drinking rum. This is where they compare the scars. A lot of people have done this in different films. Everything done really well has been plagiarized.
100%.
Yeah, and so we've seen this done again. This is the only time you really see a little connection between Hooper and Quint when they're talking about their scars and they're comparing. And this will lead to the infamous, speech about the USS Indianapolis. So Quint wanted this to be very authentic. So he basically got piss hammered before he did it. They actually had to walk him off the boat because he couldn't finish it, couldn't make any sense with it. He goes back the next day and knocks it out in one take because it was actually 10 pages that was actually put on paper for him to go through. He actually edited it himself, and he took it down to 5 pages, and that's what he rolled with. But he killed it on the first take the day after he was piss-hammered, and it did not work out.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, typically in screenwriting, a page length is 1 minute of on-screen time. So Robert Shaw's monologue was originally going to be 10 minutes, and
it's too long.
It's way too long. Definitely good to whittle it down to 5 and have the best bits.
Yeah, I think there was some concern from Spielberg and Peter Benchley that, we're taking a lot out, we're cutting a lot. But I think what they took out and what they cut just made it that much better of a film.
100%.
Yeah.
This is the pacing in this film is so tight and so well done. I have absolutely no complaints or criticisms towards it.
And I think when they're showing scars and then Richard Dreyfuss shows his heart and says, Mary Ellen Moffat, that's where she broke my heart. Like, that was improvised too. And you can tell just on the fly. Like, they love it. And that's really the only time you don't get to see a lot of personality, I would say, from Roy Schneider's character as Martin Brody, because he's so terrified and so on edge the entire time. But that's one of the first times you get to actually see him truly loosen up. And this is just a great back and forth between 3 great actors. And I love how Spielberg, although at that point, Richard Dreyfuss was the lesser of the 3 known actors, they all really got title billing,
Oh, yeah.
From the opening credits, after we see the Universal logo, they roll all 3 guys up there.
Well, after this scene, after you witness this scene be performed, I feel like you have to. It's just like, all of these deserve star billing because they are going to be stars if they aren't already.
I just read a few months ago, the book on the USS Indianapolis, The True Story. And boy, it is a horrific, horrific story. Maybe a little embellished on the tale that Quint goes into, but not far off. And what he tells, there's a story in this, and then the way the sequencing of the film ends with Quint's demise that is actually spot on. So you'll see it in a minute, and he talks about, once the first torpedo hit, I think it's 12 minutes before the bodies go in the water. And then I think after you see the sharks submerge at the end and the barrels go under the boat, I think it's 12 minutes before Quint is actually killed.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean, again, this is like the brilliance of Steven Spielberg. Like, nobody knows these things, and they were just, whether it was meant to be, which I'm sure it was, or wasn't, it just ties in perfectly.
I mean, it was either perfectly planned out or it's one of those weird moments in filmmaking where everything just seemingly comes together like fate just made it happen. It was meant to happen.
Everybody's got their opinion of what heaven or hell could be. I've always said that I think hell is like your worst fears in that moment, living it over and over again. And I think one of my worst fears would be in a dark ocean, like just hovering and not knowing what is beneath you. But that's basically the USS Indianapolis. And, you had these pockets of soldiers that had gone in, and a lot of these guys were completely caked with oil. A lot of them were like badly burnt. They weren't going to survive anyway. But they're in these pods, and they're trying to keep together, and sharks would just come up and just take these guys apart. And you just never knew who was going to be next. And when he was telling this story, I wasn't educated on the story back then or even, 20 years after seeing the film. But you hear this terrifying story and you're like, this can't be true. And then you read about it. And, 2/3 of the men that went in, I would say probably 1/3 of the men that went in were going to die anyway because of, injuries they had already taken before they had gone in. But the others, I mean, this was all sharks. Yeah. And most of that was probably oceanic white tips. There was a lot of bulls, probably no great whites at all in this. But just terrifying story, and the way he tells it.
Oh yeah,
is beautifully done.
This is one of the great scenes in film history. I mean, it just sucks all of the air out of the room. To give you an idea of how iconic this is, when I went to see this for its 50th anniversary, someone started coughing during the scene. Don't know if they got choked on their soda or on some popcorn, whatever, but they immediately knew, like, oh no, not during this scene. And they excused themselves from the theater. And I just thought, like, that is so courteous.
Yeah.
This is one of the best scenes in film history. Obviously, I want to be able to hear every word of it while I'm seeing it on the big screen.
You know, a lot of people didn't agree with Al Pacino winning Best Actor for Son of a Woman. I love the film, but I really think it came down to not necessarily him playing Colonel Frank Slade, a blind, former military. I think it was his final the final speech that he had there at the Bard's School for Men. And that's why I think Robert Shaw should have been nominated for an Academy Award just for this speech alone. And probably should have won one. I don't remember who won Best Supporting Actor in 1975, but boy, he was good. I know Jack Nicholson won Best Actor in 75 for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And that's it's tough to argue against that performance, but
and here's where they're singing.
Yep, this part where Quint goes into the farewell and adieu, all you fair Spanish ladies, and then they go into show me the way home. I just love it. It's one of my favorite scenes in film, honestly.
I never read whether or not Robert Shaw appreciated the movie after the fact. Again, he thought it was really silly going in. But this is one of those roles that I think really defines him.
100%.
And I mean, and for people that, didn't watch some of the older English films, I mean, this is, one of the few performances. I mean, he was great in The Sting, but one of the few performances probably American audiences, especially in 1975, had ever seen Robert Shaw involved in.
Yeah.
Now this is another one of those where you find it hard to believe the shark can, like, back and forth, knock in the boat. Again, you got to suspend a little belief on this one. But terrifying knowing how small the boat is and how big the shark is. And the shark is literally trying to sink the orca here. And boy, they take on water fast. And right after, and can you imagine, and this just adds to the fear of Chief Brody. He had just heard the story about the USS Indianapolis for the first time, and like, damn, we're mere minutes away from maybe waiting around in the water with this one massive-ass shark.
Yep, and then a big shark starts shaking the boat. Jody in the chat wants to know if we would classify this as a revenge film, since Quint is, in essence, getting revenge on Bruce the shark here for his shipmates.
It's an interesting question. I have heard there is a lot of metaphors, like for what was going on in 1975. I mean, we were in the middle of an energy crisis. We had gas shortages. The Middle East was basically running our economy at that point. There's a lot of people that think that shark is symbolic for a lot of different things. As far as revenge, it did seem like Quint thought this might be his final mission and had something to prove, and there was something larger than just this shark that is, hunting Amity Island. So, yeah, I think there is something to that. I can see it. I can buy it.
Yeah, definitely. There's moments to this where Quint sees it as his last.
Watch this still shot. So they're in the middle of all of this, but I think we get a shooting star. There it comes. You see it?
Oh, wow. I never noticed that while watching this movie.
It's a true shooting star that is behind the orca that was being filmed right there.
That's really
cool. Yeah, absolutely, because you don't see that a lot. And then it goes from that shot at night to the morning where they're, the repercussions of getting rammed, and they're trying to fix this damn ratty-ass boat that, like, by the way, if we're going to go out, I know it's your boat. You want to be comfortable with it. Let's take something out that is going to make it, though. And you've got, Quint and Hooper basically under the bowels here trying to figure this out. And then when the barrel pops up, if you know anything about physics, which I didn't back then, you really should be terrified. But we're about to get to the final, the finality of this and some of the, the craziness that takes place here. And That's just a piece of shit boat. Like,
It really is.
Like, I'm getting my deck redone right now because it was way past time. It just wasn't treated enough, and the weather damage to it. But my deck looked like it was in better shape than the Orca right there. I mean, where are the barnacles on the Orca?
Yeah, it's got a lot of rust, a lot of grime, a lot of buildup. No barnacles that I'm seeing, though.
Did you ever see the movie Orca? It came out right after this.
I haven't seen that one, no.
Yeah, Richard Harris, Charlotte Rampling is in it, but it is about a killer whale. And I just thought it was interesting. And I've never really, done the background on this, but I would assume the movie Orca is named after this boat.
I know
Orca is another name for a killer whale, but
that was the other thing I was going to bring up. But yeah, it might be because, I guess before this, Orca wouldn't have been in film for any context.
Now, you've been around people that smell just like BO, right?
Yeah.
Quint looks like he's a BO guy, right? Owns it, doesn't really care, probably doesn't use deodorant.
Yeah, it smells like rum and seawater and a little bit of pee.
Okay, so here's back to Jody's point on the revenge factor, and it's another thing that we forget during this film. Mm-hmm. Chief Brody is trying to signal back to the island they've got an SOS emergency situation. They're taking on water. They probably have bit off a little more than they can chew with this shark. And so he's signaling back, and then Quint comes out with his club and destroys any communication they've got to the main island. And at that point, it does, it's all in. Like, live or die, we are killing this shark. So I think to Jody's point, there's something to that.
I would have to agree with that because, at that point, you are saying that killing the shark is the primary objective, not getting back to your family and killing the shark, but just killing the shark. This is, Custer's last stand here out on the Orca.
Interesting. When he's shooting another harpoon basically into the shark, he's shooting it from the hip. Not a lot of aim there from Quint. Very effective, though. Got it right behind the dorsal. Another thing that always terrified me as a kid is when they're walking the side of the boat, how you're barely able, your foot, I wear a 13, and I know, Matt Hooper, small ass Richard Dreyfuss probably wears a 7 or an 8, but how small their foot was to the side of the boat, and you've got to be able to maneuver that. You slip, you fall in, you're dead.
Oh yeah. Larger footed people definitely not able to do that, but it's crazy how it's designed to be able to do that.
Yeah, at this point, Robert Shaw's character basically has gone mad. I am 1,000% in. I am obsessed with this shark. We're going to kill this shark. It's dicked up my boat. To hell with the shark. We're going after it. They are at pedal down right now at this point, chasing the shark out. And Martin Brody's got to be like, hey, I did not sign up for this. But this is another great shot from Spielberg. And to be able to balance this out, again, I don't know what they used to shoot this sequence with, but all of these sequencing, everything is authentic here. And these are just really beautiful water shots that you just don't see.
Yeah, you can see everything clearly. It is tightly edited on the action and emotion in each shot. Filmmakers today need to take notes because I see 100+ movies a year, and they don't cut the films as well as this one does. And this is with the old school, taking a film reel and cutting it with an X-Acto knife by frame, as opposed to doing it digitally where you can, program the crossfades to be exactly how you want it to be.
I think
this holds up better.
Most people would go The Matrix, or maybe even now F1, when you're looking, if you want to test out a really good sound system, surround sound, if you've got a really good movie theater in your house or you've got one of these man caves, I've always deferred to Jaws. Because, not only did it win Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Original Score, it all ties together so well. One of the things I went out and got this new TV, I've got to get everything reprogrammed. Mm-hmm. I've got to get the surround sound, which I've got the in-wall speakers. So I'm missing that right now. But if you've got that and you've never seen Jaws on that, it blends together so well. This is some of the best editing and sound ever done in a film.
100%. This is one of the rare moments in film where all of the pillars of filmmaking just come together to create something more. Like Lance mentioned, you've got the sound with the iconic score. You've got the editing that we've been talking about, the cinematography, and then the mise en scène, the fancy French word for the world of the film, where this shark is believed to be 30 feet long, and we do need a bigger boat, and people are really in danger, and all of it just comes together to create this beautiful feeling of terror and anxiety and also excitement.
It's
wonderful.
Remember the first time you saw this film?
Yes, I was, weirdly enough, I was in a hotel room, and I want to say this was either 2010 or 2014. The reason I'm so split on that is because I know I was watching World Cup.
I mean,
it's great time to bring it back.
I'll never forget, I was at Brookwood Hospital, and this was in 2005. Yeah, it was the 30-year anniversary. And I remember going from a doctor's appointment there back in 2005 to picking up the director's 30th edition or 30-year anniversary DVD of Jaws, which I've still got. I think I've got 3 different DVD copies of Jaws. I've got like the original that I got when I first got a DVD player. I've got the 30-year anniversary, and then I've got a new Blu-ray edition with a director's commentary on there. But this stuff just gets better and better. And I think this is one of the few films when we get out 100 years, like it is timeless.
100%.
I know a lot of people don't like Oliver Stone. There's a really cool documentary on Netflix. It's called 1975. Jodie Foster does the voiceover. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen that one.
But it talks about the influence of films on what was going on in America in 1975. But Oliver Stone talks about Jaws, and he's like, it's just a timeless film that will be a classic forever. And I really believe that. Like, I think when we're sitting there in, what will the year be at that point? Well, I guess it'll be 2075. Well, the 100-year anniversary. I won't be around for it. Hopefully you will be. But I think we will still talk about this as an absolute masterpiece. Because, I mean, look, there's some great films out there today, but nothing is done like this anymore. And what's really cool, we're about to get to some of the underwater shots because, we're to the point now where the 3 barrels are broken off. And I think we're about 12 minutes out now from Quint's demise. So we probably have roughly 15, 20 minutes left in this film. But we're about to get the underwater scenes, and there's some really, really cool facts that come with the underwater scenes and how they showed this and how they really wanted that shark to look to scale. So there's some cool stuff that we'll give you on that coming up. But you just don't, again, we talk about Project Hail Mary. It is a great film.
Fantastic.
Great. But, there's crutches to be able to do that now. And you understand it's in space and all that. But to be able to do this on water, I mean, the other unknown outside of space really is, I mean, what we haven't explored 95% of our oceans.
Oh, yeah. The Marianas Trench goes, I want to say it's 35,000 feet. I could be wrong, but it goes that deep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that just has never been explored.
Man, I would, back to snorkeling, I would go down to 15 feet and the ears were killing, popping.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things that we have no idea what goes on in this element that is, and obviously the same with space. But anyway, when you watch a space film now, and again, Project Hail Mary, if you guys haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Both of us, favorite film I've seen in 2026. But again, there's a lot of crutches, a lot of CGI that goes into it. This thing, if you do one of these water movies now, isn't Deep Water one that just came out about sharks?
Was it Deep Water? I can't remember.
I watched Dangerous Animals again last week. And Dangerous Animals is really well done about the serial killer outside of Brisbane.
Dangerous Animals was good. I think Deep Water was, I want to say that was the name of it, but there was a movie done by Rennie Harlan.
That's it.
Okay. Where this plane goes down in the middle of the ocean, and then all of the survivors on the plane wreck have to try to survive the shark attacks that come immediately after. And Aaron Eckhart is the captain.
When you watch that, though, you're like, you just have to really suspend reality a little bit because everything is so hokey. And even the same with, like, as good as Project Hail Mary was, but this, like, there is nothing that, outside of the shark being a mechanical shark, there is nothing fabricated with this.
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, it gets weird when you say, like, oh, this shark is 25, 30 feet long, because that's just not how big they typically are. But outside of that, everything is 100% believable that you have this small town that's got this tragedy going on that really wouldn't be a story nationwide, but for the small town that depends on people going to the beach is life or death for them. And then it, exploding into this where we need to send out a shark hunter, an oceanographer, and the police chief all to catch this shark is just 100% believable for me.
Yeah, and at this point, Quint's character has gone mad, and Robert Shaw plays mad really well. Like, 100%. Hats off, hair's crazy. He has got it full steam. Doesn't care that the engine is melting down. Both Chief Brody and Matt Hooper are telling him, pull back a little bit. What are you doing? You're driving us into the ground. The ship at this point is taking on a ton of water, like past the point of no return. What's going down. This is when I was really terrified as a kid. And this is another part of Spielberg's greatness in this film. You know exactly what's going to happen, but I recapture the emotion of being terrified, even knowing which characters are about to meet their demise, which characters are going to survive, and ultimately what's going to happen to this shark. But knowing what, for 51 years now, it still has you on the edge of the seat and being terrified.
Yeah. And Troy in the chat explains it perfectly. He says he's gone Captain Ahab. And yeah, Captain Ahab's...
Again, another salute to Moby Dick.
Yep. His one goal in life was taking down that great white whale, no matter the cost. And that's what you see Robert Shaw's Captain Quint doing in this film, is he's completely lost the plot, so to speak. He's not looking to come back to anybody. He has no one to go back to.
That's it.
He's looking to just kill this shark, and in a way that kind of avenges his crew on the Indianapolis.
Well, and at the same time, this is a guy that I think he realizes, as you said, he's got nothing to go back to. Like, he has sold his soul to the sea.
100%.
Yeah. And that really has defined him. I think at his stage in life, he looks to be in this a rough 65. He's probably playing a 45-year-old back in 1975. But I think he realizes, like, my best days are behind me, and this is how I'm going to go out. Now, I don't think he really realizes how he's going to go out, which we will see here in a little bit. Now, this is when Matt Hooper's like, our only shot is... I've got this, and I forgot exactly what the arsenic or the poison was that he's got to be able to get the tip into the shark.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a good plan. This is when the shark cage comes out. First time I had ever seen a shark cage. I don't know if you would ever want to go shark diving. I kind of would like to be in a cage. Now, I've seen some of these cages that get ripped apart, much like Jaws.
I mean, I think it would be good content if I was in a shark cage and, like, you and Jim were chumming the water. I think that'd be funny.
Bracket challenge next year. Loser has to go down in a shark cage.
I mean, I'll do it either way, but sure, yeah, we'll make it a bracket challenge.
Okay, so the footage you're about to see here, they're dropping the cage into the water. I told you, Valerie and Ron Taylor, very infamous couple out of Australia. They basically have done a ton of shark research, but they're the ones that did... a lot of this underwater photography, not only for this, I talked about the 1971 documentary Blue Water, White Death, but in order to make this shark to scale, this is awesome. So it wasn't The actor you're going to see underwater in the cage is not Richard Dreyfuss. Now, you'll see some close-ups of Richard Dreyfuss and obviously his face. They used a 4'11" stuntman to put it into scale. No lie. I don't know how you find, like, back then, I'm like, I mean, I guess in Hollywood you can find anything, but like almost in the classifieds, we need a really, really short man that knows how to scuba dive because we're going to put you in a cage and make this shark look really, really big. But that's what they did. And look, I mean, again, you can pick holes in it now that we're sitting in 2026, but it was amazing, amazing ability to make a film and just to think about things like that on the fly. Like, we need a 4'11" guy to make this shark look 30 feet.
I mean, 4'11's tough to find.
Yeah. It's tough to find a 4'11" woman.
Yeah, I mean, my mom's 4'10", but yeah, they're rare. They're rare.
We could have put her in the shark suit. So here we go. I think this is Richard Dreyfuss, but you're going to see a couple of the shots here where you see the 4'11" actor. Just how terrified you would be knowing that the shark is on this mission to create utter chaos. Now, the first shot he gets of the shark is it coming directly at him. And I don't think Richard Dreyfuss still knows, or Matt Hooper's character doesn't know the size of the shark until it gets really, really close. The one thing I am not dropping, though, is my one weapon that can probably end the shark. And Richard Dreyfuss not only dropped the tooth earlier in the movie, he drops, the one spear that can actually end the shark's life.
Yeah, Butterfingers on Richard Dreyfuss here.
Yeah, the only thing he caught was herpes from Ellen Brody back in the book.
Oh, wow. Yeah, good thing they cut that out of the book.
And he really didn't catch herpes. They didn't get that deep into it. He might have. Who knows? He's about to unleash the tip here. He's waiting for the perfect moment. Of course, the shark is going to sneak up behind him, and that's when you're going to see the 4'11" actor here in a second where you get the... There we go. It just
the way it
bumped him.
just knocks the cage around.
Yeah.
It's just terrifying.
But again, we've seen this now. Like, there is footage out there. You can Google it of... shark breaking up shark cage. I have known people that have done the shark cage diving before. They say it is, it's incredible. I mean, I can imagine how exhilarating it would be. If I got in there, I might get too terrified. Who knows? But very cool concept.
Yep. And there's been plenty of stories of people in the shark cages that get attacked by sharks, and all they've got is that little sort of gas-powered spear gun to shoot at them, and you got one shot.
So, okay, you tell me when you see it, you will see there's the 4'11" guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's definitely 4'11".
Not Richard Dreyfuss, but again, Spielberg pulls this off. Now, shark is in the cage now trying to get Matt Hooper. When Matt Hooper leaves the cage, and you'll see him swim quickly to the bottom to try to hide in some coral and get away from the shark. At that point, the first time I saw it, I thought he was dead, as I think most of the audience did. Mm-hmm. But back to the novel, Matt Hooper gets completely consumed by the shark. He is the first of the crew to go down in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he does not make it out. Chief Brody is the only one from the 1974 Jaws novel from Peter Benchley that actually does get out alive.
I think it works better for Hooper's character, and
I agree.
Also the way Richard Dreyfuss plays Hooper, for him to see that little gap and be like, yep, there's my chance.
This is a likable character. And again, not only the PG rating that we talked about that Universal was able to achieve and get that mainstream audience, because without that audience, there's no way they set these records. There's a good chance with an R rating, it never lives up to what it is right now. So they had to kind of scratch that scene. And again, I don't think it would not be a sympathetic character if he was banging Brody's wife and then hanging out on the boat with Brody. Like, you would be pulling for him to die. So I think the way they did this worked. Again, editing the time, editing the rating that they ultimately received with the PGE. But when they bring the cage up, at this point, Quint and Brody both think that Hooper is done, as you would. But the cage is just a mangled mess.
Yeah, cage goes in the water, only the cage comes out.
But it shows you the lack of respect from Quint. He just, okay, Hooper's done. Let's move on. And this is another kind of the unbelievable where a shark comes halfway body out of the water. If you've seen sharks hunt now, you will see them actually, their ability to leap out of the water, get airborne. But this one that is just kind of standing on, did you say the bow of the boat?
Yeah, the bow is the front and the stern is the back.
The stern, on the stern of the boat, as Quint cannot keep his grip and slowly drifts into the mouth of the shark. This is the one they said this scene took hours and hours and hours to film, and it was freezing cold water there in Martha's Vineyard. So I don't think fully dressed that Robert Shaw's character was very... This is the day I would have gotten drunk. Ooh. I would have gotten piss-hammered for this scene instead of the USS Indianapolis, and maybe he did.
Because I assume to film this scene, you're having to lower your legs into the mechanical shark.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have, just a plethora of those for you to choose from. They were... dealing with a shortage of mechanical sharks on this production, weirdly or not.
This is, and I knew a story on how they decided to film this final scene with Roy Snyder and the shark, where he puts the air tank in the mouth of the shark. I was told, and I kind of remember this as a 3-4-year-old in the bathtub. I had the play sharks like we've got now. Let's see. I had a bunch of these that I would play in the tub with, and I recreated the scene of "Smile, You Son of a Bitch." Damn, I just got shark attack everywhere. Just shot out of him. But yeah, I recreated that in the bathtub. So that was one of those scenes that stuck with me. And I guess "Son of a Bitch" was also a little dicey for the PG rating back then.
Yep, but, like we mentioned earlier, PG-13 didn't exist because I want to say Gremlins 2 was the first PG-13 movie, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, so there wasn't exactly a clear line in the sand.
Another great shot there where he's climbing to the highest point left on the orca, which is kind of that crow's nest. I don't know exactly what you call that, the very top of the mast, or I don't even know. But as it's sinking, gets to the only point he can get to, and it seems like all hope is lost at this point for Chief Brody.
Definitely. I mean, he is the least experienced with sharks out of the main three characters on the orca, with Hooper being an oceanographer and Captain Quint being a literal shark hunter who owns this boat and captains this boat that they're on. This is a real underdog moment for Chief Brody here.
This is such a
good moment here.
It really is, where he basically is just level with the water, and he's only got so many shots in the rifle. And man, the anticipation of this. And this is one of those, and I don't remember this, but I would assume the audience went absolutely nuts when there we go, "Smile, you son of a bitch," and it blows the shark up. Now, here's another thing, glass half empty, that I worried about as a kid. I'm like, holy shit, how much chum's in the water now?
Oh, yeah, you think bigger jaws is lurking around.
Because now, look, you see the carcass of the shark sinking to the bottom of the Atlantic, and you're like, oh my God, like if chum brings out sharks, this 30-footer with all of these bodies inside of it, and they've got to swim back to this. But like the sound on this scene, which we can't hear right now, it's just beautifully done.
It's so well done.
And then the relief of Chief Brody hasn't even really comprehended how he's going to be able to get back.
And then the bowls come up, and you find out that Hooper's been staying underwater, avoiding the entire confrontation the whole time.
Very, very, very smart. I think it does help Brody's confidence that Hooper is there with him to be able to paddle back to Amity Island.
Oh, yeah. And it adds this little nice moment of camaraderie where you feel like you've gone through something with the characters and you can support their bond in the future, which, unfortunately, all the Jaws sequels just failed to do was capitalize on this moment right here.
That's where I was going to go, though. So there is a reference to Matt Hooper in Jaws 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Roy Schneider does come back for Jaws 2, and he does talk about Matt Hooper and made a phone call out to him, but he's on a boat, and he's going to be out there for a couple of months. We knew there would be a cash grab. When you make this kind of money and you have this kind of box office success, and all franchises do this, but, you know, 2 to me as a kid wasn't bad. When you go back and look at it, the sharks just get bigger and bigger. Like 2 goes from we go 30-footer in 1 to 45, and then by Jaws 3 and SeaWorld, it's 60 feet. It's like a megalodon.
Yeah, Jaws 3 at SeaWorld is just ridiculous. And then Jaws 4, the shark is committing premeditated murder at that point. He is specifically hunting down the Brody family.
As the credits roll, you see them coming up on shore, basically where we started with the Chrissy Watkins, the first death. I think we had 4 confirmed deaths. If you want to throw the dog in there where you just saw the stick after young Alex was killed, I think there's 5 total people that were eaten. But there you go. That was our Jaws commentary. I don't know how that went over the air. I got consumed in just talking to you and watching the film on subtitles. So I think I've seen it 51 times now or even more. But there you go. Do you need to go in there and shut it down or?
I'll run in there real quick, but just to clean up. Apparently, I was wrong. I thought that Gremlins 2, the new batch, was the first PG-13 film ever released.
I thought it was Dreamscape.
Chad is correcting me and saying that it was Red Dawn, actually.
I don't think he's right. I think it's Dreamscape, but...
they're the ones that are able to look it up and keep watching, so... Maybe. I'll defer to them for now.
I hope we don't have fruit flies or ants because I have got sticky ass shark attack everywhere. It spit it up. It spit up the grenadine and the curacao, and I'm going to clean it up here in a little bit. That damn thing's heavy, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't bother picking it up. I just kind of scooted it around.
You've done a good job knocking that thing out, though.
Convenience.
So there you go. We appreciate this is kind of a expanded edition of not only the next round but also the next reel from this week. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, share it. If we did a completely shitty job, let us know. I have no idea. We would like to do more of these.
Well, Zach says it was a 10 out of 10 in the chat and says we need more of these. Troy says he enjoyed this. And Zach is asking again, what's the next movie? So I think we got to try and do this somewhat regularly.
Yeah, please. Well, I mean, you guys give us feedback on other movies that you would like to do this with because, you know, obviously it's got to be something that the, you know, majority of the audience has seen. But, I mean, you and I are movie freaks, and Jaws is one of the best ever. So really, really appreciate you guys hanging with us for that 2 hours and 4 minutes. And, that's going to do it for us this week here on the next round and the next reel. You guys be safe wherever you are. Watch something good this weekend, and please continue to give us feedback on how we can do this even better, bigger and better next time.
Yep, we're always looking to improve our content every single week. And, just make sure you like and subscribe this video, TNR clips. Make sure to go check out the OG Kickoff. They've got a new episode out this week. Lance recorded a new episode of the Connor O'Gara Show that went live this morning with him and Connor O'Gara. So go check out all of that. And thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Do you need to go on there? Do I need to keep it going until you cut us off?
Yeah, I just need to cut it off real quick.
Yeah, so special thanks to Cheese, Connor Rhodes for helping us out this week. Obviously, our superb intern that was actually working the board because both Brooks and Scott are off this week. Special thanks, obviously, Jim Dunaway hanging out. First hour, Ryan Brown will be back with us on Monday, so we will have at least full staff on this side of the room when we catch you back on Monday at 9 o'clock. Enjoy World Cup this weekend. Go England. Hopefully France will stub their toe sooner than later. But you guys have a wonderful week. We'll be back with you on Monday right here on the next round.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, the next round.